And we're seeing scenes now on our monitors here from inside the clubhouse. So all those trophy cabinets that Annabelle was just referencing, because Annabelle's been inside the corridors here. She's seen all this stuff. And it's just the most immaculate sight. We've got glass windows and trophy cabinets holding the Wimbledon trophy that Novak Djokovic has lifted 6 times. And here come the players out through the inside doors of the corridors of Wimbledon and onto the court. And it really is the most sudden and dramatic moment, and Novak Djokovic has a smile on his face. He's waving to the crowd here. He looks up at the roof above, and the crowd stands to attention, applauding the man that has won this title so many times. That really was quite theatrical and dramatic, the way suddenly the players were on the court.
Yeah, I've got goosebumps, I have to say. That was really, really dramatic, and it was wonderful to see the players walk out. And you're right, David, Novak was looking all around, wasn't he? Up high, up into the stands, and just kind of soaking it all up and taking it all in. I think that was quite a big moment for him, actually, walking back out here.
Yeah, I think, Tony, as the years and certainly the months go by in which his future is uncertain because of him not necessarily being able to play some of these tournaments like the US Open and the Australian Open to come, such a premium on Wimbledon, and he wants to win it again.
Yeah, good stuff, David. Thank you. I'm assuming, I can't see, but I'm assuming he didn't have stonking headphones on as he walked out, just lapping it up, Novak Djokovic. Thanks, David. Back with you very shortly. And Annabelle, loads to look forward to this afternoon. Something perhaps we didn't want to hear is that there's been a wicket in the cricket. Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, the equation today on this final day of the Test match, England needing 113 runs, New Zealand needing 8 wickets. Well, England have 2 runs, New Zealand have a wicket, and Ollie Pope is back in the pavilion, bowled by Tim Southee at the end of the first over for 82. So that brings Johnny Bairstow to join Joe Root. Root is on 56. Bairstow yet to get off the mark. England need 111 more runs to win. The good news is it's not raining.
Good stuff. Cheers, Ellie. Thank you. Exciting finishing prospect there. Right, tennis underway in earnest very, very shortly indeed here on Centre Court. Meanwhile, let's get the 5 Live News with Lisa McCormick.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Tony. President Zelensky's told the G7 world leaders in Germany that he wants the war in Ukraine to be over by the winter. He's called on them to give his country more heavy artillery and air defence systems. Boris Johnson, who's at the G7 summit, says controversial legislation to change the Brexit deal could be passed by the end of the year. He's also told reporters that unnecessary barriers to trade in Northern Ireland can be removed without putting the EU single market at risk. A woman's died after an explosion destroyed a house in Birmingham. A man has life-threatening injuries from the blast in the King's Standing area of the city. Nearby properties were also damaged and 4 people have minor injuries. And the Queen has travelled to Edinburgh for the start of a week of royal events in Scotland, including the traditional ceremony at the Keys. She has mobility issues and the decision to go was only confirmed this morning.
Wimbledon 2022 with Gigi Salmon and Tony Livesey on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Incident pact is the word you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Say that
I'm
instead.
trying to get my words out. It's not good, is it? On day one, you can't get your words out. Right, you're with Tony and Gigi and the rest of the team. It's day one at Wimbledon, and the first match on Centre Court this year is about to begin. Novak Djokovic is back after a tumultuous couple of years.
Championship point to Novak Djokovic. The backhand volley from Djokovic. The lob from Medvedev. The smash from Djokovic to win the Australian Open for a 9th time. Now an 18-time Grand Slam champion.
Imagine myself being in a position to fight for another Grand Slam trophy. And, I put myself in a very good position, so anything is possible in the finals.
And now the smash from Djokovic to win a 19th Grand Slam title. He's come back from 2 sets to love down to win the French Open for a 2nd time.
And Novak Djokovic falls flat on his back because finally he is level with Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal on 20 Grand Slam singles titles.
I decided not to take the vaccine.
Novak Djokovic will have to wait until Monday to find out whether he will be deported from Australia or if he will be allowed to defend his Australian Open title.
And I understand that not being vaccinated today, I'm unable to travel to most of the tournaments. That is the price that I'm willing to pay.
This time Nadal wins the match. He's beaten his great rival Novak Djokovic.
I think once you've being number 1 in the world, can't really fully be satisfied with anything less than reaching the finals or winning the titles.
Novak Djokovic, the world #1, the 3-time defending champion, most people's favourite to win this title and defend his title. It has been an incident-packed couple of years.
Tumultuous, tumultuous.
Cannot say that word. I'll work on it. It's only day one. But it has been, incident-filled for Novak Djokovic. So looking forward to seeing how he looks. As Marion Bartley says, you can see so much, you can tell so much from Djokovic in these early rounds. And Novak Djokovic is going to be watched by a commentary team on centre court of Annabel Croft and David Law.
And Gigi, just talking to Annabel as we watch Novak Djokovic in the knock-up here, Annabel reckons that maybe we might even be able to see something from the knock-up itself. This little preliminary exchange of ground strokes and volleys and lobs and smashes and serves. What are you seeing, Annabel?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw him trying to give Kwon some lobs, and actually there wasn't much height on them. And, it was early stages of the knock-up then, and I just wondered whether there are more nerves at the early stages of any Grand Slam than you imagine. I think we tend to think that some of these top players are superhuman, but often when they've come off court, they do say that they suffered a lot from very early nerves. Once they get into their stride and get winning, then the nerves tend to disappear. But I would imagine there would be quite a few nerves for Novak in this match. And I always remember Andreescu actually talking about that final at US Open with Serena Williams when she said, I knew from the warm-up that I was going to beat her that day because I knew she was nervous.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's not playing the equivalent of Bianca Andreescu here is Novak Djokovic. We should say that. Kwon Soon-woo is a good player, but that's what he is. He's good. Novak Djokovic is one of the all-time greats.
Absolutely. And I don't see this being too much of a problem for Novak Djokovic. I would be surprised if he dropped a set. I think his opponent's a fighter who said he'll fight to the last ball until the handshake, but I don't think he'll have enough weapons to hurt him.
One of the contenders for the women's title, potentially Ons Jabeur, and we have a break in, Carter.
We do early in the second set, and it's gone the way of the Tunisian Jabeur, who just eases away another wonderful forehand winner at the start of the third game of the second set. She broke Bjorklund to 30 in the second game, and so leads by the first set 6-1 and 2-love with that break of serve at the start of the second.
What about Britain's Cameron Nori on court 2, Jonathan Overend?
He's retrieved the break in the second set against Pablo Andujar, so Nori, who won the first set 6-love impressively, is now 3-2 ahead, back on serve in the second.
That's the leading British player in the men's draw, Cameron Nori, who has made such a good start there. So Jonathan will keep us up to date with that. They've finished the knock-up here on centre court, and as Novak Djokovic jogs to the baseline, listen to this. Well, that's quite the ovation.
First set.
6 times.
Novak Djokovic serve.
6 times this man has won this title, and there were suspicions that maybe after the start of the year, with all the publicity around his not playing the Australian Open, that he might not be greeted as warmly as maybe in previous years by this Wimbledon crowd. Well, I'd suspect really that that's not the case by what we've just heard. He's hit a backhand into the net, though, in the first point of this match, and his opponent, Kwon Soon-woo, has also got a really nice big round of applause from the crowd. And well, part of the experience here is the fact that these tennis fans are enjoying live sport at Wimbledon. Absolutely thrilled to be here. It's an ace out wide from Djokovic. The roof is on, Annabelle, because the rain we've had. Thank goodness we have a roof these days. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very different atmosphere when the roof is on, isn't it? Because you can hear it's a little bit more echoey. You can hear the sort of reverberations of the ball being hit. It just sounds a little bit odd. But also we know that Novak Djokovic is one of the best indoor court players in the world. He has a fantastic record indoors, so I think that will suit him. He looks absolutely pristine in his whites, doesn't he? I mean, there's not a crease. It just looks perfection in terms of that outfit.
Yeah, he's had the iron out, this guy, before he's come on. Stretched out over the board. I'm sure he does it himself.
Yes.
No, I don't think. Maybe he doesn't.
Well, he looks, yeah, it's really pristine, his outfit.
It sure is. 30-15, Djokovic serving here. He didn't play any grass court warm-up tournament, a couple of exhibition matches last week in Hurlingham, but none of the main tour events as Kwon goes long with his forehand. He's wearing a baseball cap as Novak Djokovic moves to game point. We've got a set point for Sarah Orchard to watch.
It has already been struck, and it means that Casper Ruud, who is the third seed here on court number 12, has just taken a first set against Albert Ramos Villanas, 7-6.
Thank you, Sarah. Casper Ruud, the Roland Garros French Open champion, or finalist rather, from a few weeks ago. He lost in the final to Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic's great rival, of course, in the historical all-time list, as Djokovic hits serve that he thought was going to be out, but it was called just on the line. It's 40-15 on the Djokovic serve. First game of the championships here on centre court in 2022. The forehand down the line from Djokovic comes in. Lovely passing shot on the backhand from Kwon, who comes in with a forehand now. And a very nice point played by the man from Korea.
Yeah, that was exciting, wasn't it? You could hear the energy of the crowd lift up there, because that was a great approach shot from Novak Djokovic on the march forward. That's the kind of tennis that he needs to be playing to win and retain this title. And actually, Kwon came up with a fantastic kind of passing shot there. Really made the volley difficult and then put away the winner. Really good point.
Slightly unusual passing shot attempt, not whipped with the usual topspin that we see with two hands. He played it almost one-handed with the backhand, sliced it down the line. Now he's drawn an error from the Djokovic backhand, and I think we're seeing what Annabelle referenced at the start of this match, which is nerves on the part of the great Novak Djokovic. He's won all these titles, but it doesn't mean you don't get nervous. And it's deuce in the first game. He serves down the centre, he hits the centre service line, and he's just trying to edge his way over the line in this mini battle that he's got here and win the first game of it. Advantage to Novak Djokovic. Following this match will be Emma Raducanu, her first ever appearance here on centre court. She's going to be playing Alison von Uckvank as Djokovic hits an ace down the centre to win the opening game of the match. And he won't sit down because they just have a little drink and then go down the other end of the court, but Djokovic will be relieved.
I think so, just to get that first game up on the belt and on the board, as it were. He just, he was pushed a little bit in that opening service game, but we also saw him opening up the shoulders and trying to be ultra aggressive on the ground strokes, and he'll just be happy to get off and running. And Kwon actually has come out really striking the ball with authority, hasn't he? He doesn't look overawed, he doesn't look tense. He's quite a go-getter, I think, quite an aggressive ball striker. He's got good athletic ability. You never know how someone's going to cope with such a big occasion as this, but he looks as if he's taking it all in his stride, actually.
Yeah, Annabelle Crofts here with us on 5 Live at Wimbledon. The first match of centre court's coverage here in 2022. And after Emma Raducanu, it'll be Andy Murray rolling back the years. Hopefully fully fit as Kwon hits an ace down the centre on his second serve on the first point of his service game. And he's striding around the place as if he's Pete Sampras.
Well, I have to say, that was a very impressive second serve, because not many players can get it as close to the lines as that. That was actually Djokovic-like, and it was a little bit ungainly watching Djokovic flailing at that ball and couldn't even get a racket on it. And it's a very bright orange racket that Kwon is swatting away, isn't it? It's. I
was going to say, there's an all-white rule here at Wimbledon. Well, Kwon has got the most fluorescent orange-framed racket that you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, it's really bright. And it stands out, as you say, amongst all of the beautiful white that both of them are wearing. I mean, Djokovic's racket is more sort of carbon-coloured, I'd say. Not many frills attached to that racket.
No. All business, Djokovic's racket. Kwon has come out with a bit of style. Here he hits his serve into the top of the net. Never got beyond the second round of a Grand Slam tournament before. And he's done it once here at Wimbledon. The sun is coming out through the roof here, this translucent roof, which does allow for natural light to get through, which I think is one of the really nice features about the roof here at Wimbledon. We'll just go over to court 18 because we've got a match point for Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Jody Burrage serving to stay in Wimbledon. She lost the first set 6-2. She's currently 5-3 down in this second with a medical timeout needed for a ball boy. Burrage, she played some good tennis, but the unforced error is creeping back in, David, and we're watching a magnificent rally now as Burrage goes with the backhand across court, back cross court by Tsurenko, down the line by Burrage, and Tsurenko into the net. Burrage is still alive.
Thank you very much, Aaron. We'll keep across that as well, because Jody Burrage had some great results last week in Eastbourne, but she's playing against a really competent player in Lesia Sarenko. I saw her play in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago, and she looked very good in the early stages of that. 30-all here on the Kwon service game. It's the first chance he's had to serve at this near end. We're just looking at him over his left shoulder, about 15, 20 metres away. And we're court level, sort of head height to the players. Kwon at 30-all in his opening service game against Novak Djokovic. And it's a good serve that gets the return into the bottom of the net for Djokovic. And Kwon, just getting your name on the board with a 1 next to it must mean a lot.
Definitely. And that was a 123 mile per hour first serve. And again, good accuracy, which was just too good for Novak Djokovic, one of the best returners in the game.
We'll go over to court 18 in just a second. Just see the service point here from Kwon to see whether he can manage to level this match up at 1 game all. 40-30 on his serve right now. Serves onto the Djokovic backhand. It kicks up high at the shoulder of Djokovic, and then Kwon nets his backhand, so it's back to deuce. So a result on court 18.
Yeah, Lesia Sarenko, too disciplined for Jody Burrage. The Ukrainian beats the Brit 6-2, 6-3 on court 18 to progress to round 2. Burrage offered resistance in the second set. Too many unforced errors, though, mean that it is a second first round exit for Jody Burrage. Lesia Sarenko takes this 6-2, 6-3.
Thanks, Aaron. And we'll follow the fortunes of a lot of British players at this year's Wimbledon as a service winner goes down from Kwon and he gets to advantage. These are, generally speaking, quite good times for British tennis.
Oh, amazing, David. They seem to all be pushing each other. And actually, John Lloyd was saying earlier today that he believes that it's the sort of knock-on effect of Andy Murray having led the game for so many years. They've kind of learnt from his intensity, his... the way that he practices and how hard he works, and there's definitely been a knock-on effect, I think.
And of course, Emma Raducanu's miraculous win in September of last year, winning the US Open as a qualifier, 10 matches in a row, won all in straight sets. And Emma Raducanu will be coming on to this centre court upon the conclusion of this match. But of course, we'll have to maybe be a little bit realistic this year. She's been injured. It's all still very new to her. And let's see how she gets along. Djokovic, 1 game all, because Kwon did hold his serve with 2 mighty aces at the start of his service game in this match. 1 game all and 15 love Djokovic. He hits his backhand return down the middle, does the man with the bright orange racket, and Djokovic just goes along with the forehand. And those nerves, that's where I feel you see it. And I remember us watching Djokovic in Paris a few weeks ago, and in his first match, there was a similar feel for the first hour.
Yeah, just there was a couple of rallies in the previous game where he was just going straight up the middle of the court, and that's when you know that they're just trying to get rhythm, because they're not going for too much, not going into the corners too much. And, there's a few more unforced errors from Djokovic's racket than we're used to, actually, so it's just going to take him some time to get into his stride.
Yeah, hits his forehand down the line, and they're trading ground strokes. A forehand whipped cross court by Kwon, and long goes Djokovic on his forehand, so a little bit of pressure here on the Novak Djokovic serve. 15-30 down. And our new commentary position slightly moved round this year and all nicely refurbished. It used to have a big wooden bench at the back. And you used to be able to come and go as you please, but these days there's a little code on the door, and I've just had to let Tony Livesey in.
I've just been up a... Can you hear me?
Tony's just sort of stooped and trying to get through a doorway that is about half his size at the moment. Yeah. So you can imagine how I get on at 6'7". Anyway, here's a forehand down the middle by Kwon Soon-woo, who swipes to the forehand down the line, and he set up a break point, 2 of them against Novak Djokovic.
Wow, that was spectacular, that forehand. I mean, he lined that up, he got the body weight right behind it, and that just ricocheted out of the centre of his racket and boomed away for a winner. That would have taken Novak Djokovic's breath away. Did not see this coming early in the match. 2 break points and a second serve opportunity as well.
Not too many of us saw this coming from the world number 81, who's playing suddenly some pretty explosive tennis here. He's got break point against Djokovic. Forehand cross-court winner, Kwon. Wow! You could see that coming a mile off as he lined that forehand up, Annabelle. He was going to go for broke. And he landed, and he's broken Novak Djokovic for 2-1.
Well, that was really breathtaking stuff, wasn't it? And he looked rather shell-shocked by that, Novak Djokovic. And Kwon is just having a couple of words with the umpire. He asked for something when he walked past her. He's still having a chat with her. She's probably going to get on her walkie-talkie, or is she going to look down and say something to Novak? I'm not sure, but she looks as if she's trying to do something out here. But yeah, what an attitude from Kwon. I think that said a lot, the way he went after those 2 forehands and just lined it up. And he's clearly got the attitude. There's no point just trying to exchange from the back of the court and play passive tennis. He wants to go for it, roll the dice, see what can happen, and try and take advantage of a slightly rusty Novak, who we haven't seen on the tour, I believe, since the French, have we? He went and played an exhibition match at the Hurlingham Club, but other than that, has not played a competitive match since France.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well. Novak Djokovic walks out with a new towel. There were 2 new towels brought out to the players. That's what Kwon was asking for. And Djokovic trails 2-1 with a break. What about court 1? We've got Ons Jabeur in action.
Yes, it's been untroubled progress so far for the world number 2, Ons Jabeur of Tunisia, up against Miriam Björklund of Sweden. But the levels of Jabeur have dropped a little bit, and she's actually facing, for the first time, break points against her serve. She's leading by a set and 4-2 in this second set, but right now it's 15-40 on Jabeur's serve, and she serves to the Swede's backhand and then goes deep to the backhand corner and saves the first of those break points. Naomi Brody's been watching this with me. The levels just dropped a little bit from the Tunisian.
It has, and I almost feel like it's maybe a bit of a focus thing, because she was absolutely cruising, wasn't she? 6-1, 4-1 up. We thought she'd be off court by now. They've only been on for 47 minutes.
Well, we're into the next break point. A good deep backhand from Jabeur, and then a deep probing forehand. She'll go to that corner once again. The double-fisted backhand from the tall blonde Björklund, who goes very deep with that backhand. Too deep, goes long, and we're back to deuce. And it is going to be challenged, David, but 4-2 it is for Jabeur, and she's got it back to deuce if this call goes her way.
Thank you very much, Ian. We have Novak Djokovic 2-1 down here, 40-15 down on serve of Kwon Soon-woo of Korea. What about court number 2? Cameron Nori, watched by Jonathan Overend.
Much closer second set, Nori against Andujar than the first, which Nori won by 6 games to love. 5-4 Nori is, having retrieved the break. Was a breakdown early on. Now Andujar is serving to stay in the set, but it looks like he's going to do it. 40-15 up. Nori's got this brilliant cross-court backhand, which has earned him so many plaudits on the tour. But Jeff Tarango, you're a little concerned by another backhand shot of his.
Yeah, his backhand inside out, the one he's taking from the middle of that backhand court. He doesn't quite have it down where it's going low and scooting away. He's missed a few of those, and he's been trying them on Andujar's serve, which is the right time, but it's just going to open up the court. It's a shot he can work on a little bit more if he gets through this match. But right now, he's really good with 10 unforced errors. His opponent has 20 unforced errors, and Nori has 6 aces, and his opponent has none. That's making the difference so far in this
Nice
match.
backhand volley from Andujar to close out the game. So it is 5 games all in the second set. Nori, the British number 1, don't forget, the 9th seed, with the first set in the bag, 6-0.
And it's day 5 of the third test between England and New Zealand. Ellie Oldroyd, have you got any hope for us?
Yes, England rattling through these runs at the moment. They're 225 for 3. Johnny Bairstow's hit 23 off 17. He's in the mood again. Joe Root 68. They put on 40 so far in 32 balls. Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root, 71 more needed to win. Meanwhile, in the women's test at Taunton, South Africa, having been put into bat, are 93 for 5. Miss you in that commentary box, by the way, guys.
We miss you as well, but keep bringing us positive updates from the cricket, and we'll take that as a consolation. Ball by ball commentary on Sports Extra of the third test and day 5 with the team on TMS. Now, Ons Jabeur is just closing in on victory in Carter on court 1.
It looks that way because she's come through that service game, David, and leads by 5-2. So Björklund's going to be coming out to serve to stay in the match. I feel a lot of sympathy, Naomi, for Björklund in that game, because when you left us, there was the Hawkeye review of a rally which was being dominated by the 23-year-old Swede, and her ball was called out on the baseline. Hawkeye overruled and said it hit the line. So they had to replay the point, which was rather tamely won by Ons Jabeur from a rally that was being dominated by the Swede.
Yeah, it's really frustrating part of the sport, but you just have to get on with it as she did. Unfortunately for her, that was a breakpoint opportunity, wasn't it? And you feel like if it was 4-3 right now, back on serve, or 5-2 as it is for Ons, it'd make a big difference as the level of Jabeur, as we say, has dropped a little bit.
Well, Jabeur has just dropped a backhand into the net there, so the first point of this game goes to Bjorklund, serving to stay in the match. 2-5 down, second set.
And meanwhile, Novak Djokovic is 3 games to 1 behind here. And 40-30 ahead on serve, Annabelle, but it's not going exactly as expected. I wouldn't have thought this.
No, definitely not. And yet he looks quite undisturbed by it, I would say, actually. He has not flinched in terms of his motions on the court. He's just taking it all in his stride. That's an ace just to finish off that game. And he's just taking the blows on the chin, as he often does. You know, we've always said this about Novak. He works out where an opponent's level is, and then he'll try to raise the bar and find a way to bring his level up. But I think he's just sussing everything out at the moment. And he has many different sort of states on the court, doesn't he? Either you see angry Novak, you know that there's stuff bubbling under the surface, or you see the calm, kind of floating Novak Djokovic, which is the kind of mood that I think he's in at the moment. He doesn't look as if he's ready to explode, or he's not upset by what's going on. He's just taking it all in his stride, but you're never quite sure what is going on under the surface.
Do you think
him.
he's just reacting to circumstance with those kind of that temperament, or do you think sometimes he thinks, do you know what, I really need to get fired up now? Or is it just a sort of explosion because of he can't contain it anymore?
Yeah, I think it's more that. I think with him it depends what mood he's in. Everyone's the same, aren't they? Which side of bed you got out of and which sort of mood you're in. But, you know, I think sometimes the pressure can ramp up in certain situations with a particular opponent or rival. And then if things just aren't going away, then suddenly we see it building. You see the body language shift, and then suddenly you'll get that eruption, which he needs to get out because it's not great when he's just containing it all. But at the moment, I would say he looks pretty calm, actually.
Yeah, he does. He looks very calm. And you know, it's very easy to get excited when his opponent, who's ranked 81 in the world, is beating him by 3 games to 1 and is at 30 all, as he was just a moment or two ago. But let's not forget, a year ago, Novak Djokovic lost the first set against the young British player Jack Draper. First set on this centre court, Djokovic went and won the title. And that's what he's done 6 times overall. He knows all about how to handle these situations. That doesn't mean he can't lose, but it certainly doesn't mean there's any reason to panic.
Yeah. And that return was a little strange from Djokovic because Kwon is serving down some sort of pretty big serves and good placement. And that one, he didn't quite get the footwork out to the ball. He was lunging at it.
Yeah, well, Kwon is playing beautiful tennis right now. He's striking the ball with such purpose and authority and conviction as he steps into his backhand and hits it cleanly down the line, but he's hit that one just a little bit long. So that's a 15-all.
It sounds so good out of the strings, doesn't it? It's very clean and clinical and moving the ball around. He's really playing very well.
Match point on court 1, watched by Ian Carter.
Ons Jabeur, 40 love. We saw Bjorklund hold serve to love when she was serving to stay in this match, but Jabeur on the threshold of round 2 here as she serves down the centre, blocked forehand return, lands on the baseline, driven forehand from Jabeur, who then watches as that goes long from the Swedish racket. And a very straightforward victory in 54 minutes for the world number 2, Ons Jabeur of Tunisia. We're going to enjoy watching her in the course of this Wimbledon Championships. Of that, I'm sure. She's beaten Miriam Bjorklund, this qualifier from Sweden, 6-1, 6-3. Naomi Brody.
I just absolutely love watching her, and she just walks out now, takes her applause to the crowd, thanks them, plants a kiss onto her hand, pops it down onto the grass court. She's happy to be back. She absolutely loves playing here at Wimbledon. She loves being in the UK, and she's on fine form.
I don't know whether it's the dark hair, the way she moves about the court, David, the bandana that she wears, but she really does put me in mind of the great Spaniard Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. And she looks a popular figure here for this Wimbledon, and a very successful victory in the first round for Ons Jabeur, 6-1, 6-3.
Yeah, I think Ian's right. I think she is going to be a player that becomes incredibly popular here at Wimbledon if her results enable her to be in the spotlight enough, because wherever she goes around the world, people do really warm to Ons Jabeur, both her personality and the way she plays the sport. She's a wonderful shot maker as Djokovic comes in. He set himself up with a breakback point here as he's 3-2 down, but he's got a chance to level up at 3 games all.
Yeah, he looks to me as if he's just a little unsure with the footwork at the moment, because the court is so lush and green, and I know... I forget who was telling us, I think it was Russell, wasn't it, that was telling us that they played on the court before for the first time, using a few more practice sessions on here just to warm it up. But I think he just looks as if he's don't want to slip over out here, Novak Djokovic. And he's moving a little bit gingerly, it seems.
He's been quite careful.
Yeah.
And the mind goes back to 2014 when he won this title, and there was a really hot year of weather and he was sliding all over the place, but deliberately sliding into the ball. These are little pitter-pat footsteps at the moment, so he doesn't want to try and slide and his feet to give way as he hits his backhand cross-court. Kwon with his own backhand cross-court, and he's hit the line as he knows. He's pulled it wide, so Djokovic has already seen off that mini scare, and he's level up at 3 games apiece here on centre court. We've got a tie-break on court 2, Jonathan Overend.
Yes, this has turned into a really interesting match. Cam Nori, the British #1, 9th seed, against the experienced Spaniard Pablo Andujar, who has raised his game in the second set to take us into a tie-break. The tie-break is underway. Nori has won the first point in it. Yeah, I'm here with Jeff Tarango on court number 2, enjoying, what's a really entertaining match, Jeff.
Yeah, and I also like the spice that's going on. Andujar at this point has yelled at it just about everybody except that lady in the first row there. He is going after Carlos in the chair. He's yelling at his coach. He even went at a couple spectators. He's really firing himself up. And Nori really looks like he's having a little bit of a practice session in his attitude. He's taking it very calmly, but he's made some brilliant dive volleys.
Oh, he has. I think that can be quite deceptive, can't it, in the way he meanders almost around the court, because he is such an athlete. He's a great mover, and one spectacular rally a few minutes ago that was won by Nori with a shoulder-high backhand volley. So it's 1 point all in this second set tiebreak. To remind you, Nori won the first set in double quick time, 6 games to love before the rain interruption, which came after 31 minutes of the match. We've got a Hawkeye challenge on a serve from Andujar, which was called wide, and it's confirmed by the technology as wide. So here's the second serve from Andujar in the sunshine, but with grey clouds hovering above here at Wimbledon. Backhand from Andujar wearing a white baseball cap. Onto the backhand of the left-handed Nori, who punches it down the line, and Nori wins the point. And that's the shot, Jeff Tarango, which you were asking for more from Nori a moment ago.
Yeah, it's the Connor-esque shot. Jimmy Connors hit that so well. It's like an inside out. It's not quite a slice. It's not a scoop. It's a drive, but it bounces and scoots away from the right-hander's backhand. And if Nori wants to do well in this championships, he's going to have to use that shot a lot more.
I'm having flashbacks at this moment, Jeff, thanks to your Jimmy Connors reference there on that scoopy backhand. 2-1. Cam Nori then in this tiebreak. If he wins this tiebreak, he's 2 sets to love to the good. It's only round 1, but he'll be feeling the pressure as the British #1. Backhand down the centre from Nori, who now will step into mid-court to drive through the backhand and force the error from Andujar, who nets, and it's 3-1 to the British man.
Yeah, very good up the middle serve, getting that spin. Really done a great job, Nori, of using more spin on his first serve. Not so concerned about the power. The placement is going really well, and early in the tournament, that gets a big payoff for lefties. He does it again here.
Yeah, serve down the centre. Backhand return from Andujar. Cross-court on the forehand from Andujar, and it's gone long. Nori's broken off from the rally because there wasn't a call from the line judge. And it's a line judge down there beneath his peaked cap who made a bit of a bad error, it has to be said, earlier in the match. So
another challenge.
Goes to Hawkeye. Nori's convinced it's long. Oh, but he's got it wrong, and we have to retract what we say. Well, we apologise, sir, down there, you line judge, because you got that absolutely right.
Well, what's interesting there is that Nori stopped the play and put his hand up, but right after that, Carlos butted in and overruled it as out. So it became a challenge from Andujar, so they replay the point instead of Nori losing the point outright.
Well, that's pretty rough on Andujar, isn't it? Andujar should be winning that point, really, because Nori broke off from the rally. But anyway, it is 3-1. They replay the point, and Andujar doesn't have any luck because the serve is good, the ball spins out of court, and it's 4-1 to Cameron Nori, and Pablo's mood is not improving.
Yeah, he's giving a little bit of a chat to his box back there and going to try to take a positive attitude down here 1-4. But once you get behind in a tiebreaker against a top lefty, it's pretty tough to come back.
So Nori made the third round here at Wimbledon last year, you may remember, lost to Roger Federer, and he's had a couple of terrific years on the ATP Tour, winning titles, making finals, making a real impact. Here he goes with a cross-court backhand. It's good and deep. He's putting the pressure on. Forehand from Andujar down the line. Now Nori on the defensive into his forehand corner, and that was a good counter-punch from the Spaniard, who wins the point. And it's Nori 4-2 at the change of ends in the second set tiebreak, as we hear about Djokovic's progress on centre from David.
Things are going rather more swimmingly now. 4-3 for Djokovic, retrieving that early breaker serve, striking the ball with conviction now and starting to put the pressure on, Jonathan.
So for all Nori's success on the tour to get into the top 10, and he plays here with a ranking of 12, but he's peaked at 10, and what a fantastic achievement that is for any tennis player. He hasn't actually been beyond the third round of a Grand Slam before. This is his 20th Grand Slam tournament. So that is the obvious next step in terms of Cam Nori's progression. Can he make the second week? Can that start here at Wimbledon 2022? He leads 4-2. Second set tiebreak against Pablo Andujar. Nori leading the match by 1-0.
And I have him penciled into the round of 16. I like his draw, like the way he plays, and I'm always rooting for a lefty.
You are. You're big into this lefty thing
this
year.
Well, I feel like the grass, if it's going to be wet in the beginning of the week, that it's going to stay a little bit slippery. And that out wide serve against the righties just looks like a nice draw for Nori. It's a benefit of being seated so high.
Oh, and he's won another point here with a backhand return, which is strong, and it's a mishit from Andujar, who looks out of sorts now. Nori 5-2 up in the tiebreak. 2 service points to come. The chance to close out this set and take a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and the reason why he's number 9 is because he's done so well in California. He's gotten to play 2 Indian Wells in one calendar year, and he's won one, and I think semis of another. So that's a lot of points to be able to get at one tournament.
Backhand from Nori gets Andujar on the run, trying to sort out a set point here if he can. Nori, the left-handed forehand down the centre of the court. Andujar, a flat backhand hit cross-court. A bit more air on that forehand from Nori, who's now playing an undersliced forehand, which just drifts long on the breeze. And Andujar breaks a long sequence of points against him. That was 4 in a row for Nori to move to 5-2. And it is now 5-3 in the tiebreak. I mentioned the grey clouds. They really do look very ominous. They're to the north of us. We look out from court 2 here on the southern side of the grounds. We've got centre court looming in the skyline just beyond the crowd. And then we see these clouds. So they're kind of over, I don't know, what would you say? Over Chiswick?
They're inch northeast, aren't they?
Good serve from Nori. Hits the centre line. In he comes to the net behind a forehand approach, and Andujar down the line is wide. And that was good aggression from Nori on the 5-3 point. He now leads 6-3, 3 set points.
Nori. Yeah, he's won 78% of his first serve points. Very good control, but his unforced errors are so low compared to his opponents, 14-23. And that is making the difference in these tight sets.
We do have sunshine here at the moment, despite the clouds. Crowd don't know what to do with themselves. 1 minute it feels like 25 degrees, the other it feels like about 12 degrees. There are jumpers coming on and off all the time. Backhand from Nori on set point, cross court, then he punches one down the line. Backhand from Andujar, cross court, big forehand down the line from Nori with a chance to close out this set. Backhand is long from Andujar, and Cam Nori for Great Britain, the number 9 seed, strides into a 2-0 lead here on court number 2. 6-love, 7-6, 2 very contrasting sets, but Nori is playing well, and he's good value for this lead in the match. Tony.
Cheers, Jonathan. Thank you. So straightforward-ish for Cam Nori there over on court number 2. Here on centre, David Law, after an early break against him, it's business as usual for Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, he's starting to look like the man who's won this title 6 times before, is Novak Djokovic now. Early nerves against Kwon Soon-woo, who played some excellent tennis for the first 4 games, and he led 3 games to 1. He had 30 all on Djokovic's serve. Frankly, he was bossing the rallies, and Djokovic was kind of just playing his way in and acting as a bit of a sparring partner early on. Well, he's turned that around pretty smartish, because he's now 15 love up, 5 games to 3, Annabelle. He's won the last 4 games and he's just asserting himself.
Yeah, definitely. And they've played some longer points, which has given him a chance to really get his rhythm going. And also he's thrown in some slice backhands as well, just to unsettle the rhythm of his opponent down there. And I think he's striking the ball much, much better now. And you just feel like that backhand down the line is coming into play a little bit more. He looks much more at ease, in control of this first set.
Yeah, centre court now virtually full to capacity as a good shot is hit away by Kwon, and backhand sprays cross court and out by Djokovic, who just about 5 or 10 minutes ago, there were a couple of rallies which he got involved in, which seemed to be almost making a statement to his opponent, as if to say, OK, you want to go? Come on then, let's go for it. Toe to toe, you and me, see who ends up winning. And Djokovic ended up winning.
That's a very good way of describing it. It did seem a little bit like that. They were both blasting the ball at each other, weren't they? And I mean, it sounds so crisp and clean coming out of the strings of both these players. I mean, this crowd are already being treated to quite some spectacular ball striking at the back of the court.
Yeah, they are. I mean, what a ticket they've got today as well. I think it's amplified by the fact that the roof is on, and it makes every ball reverberate around this great old arena, which is celebrating 100 years of being on this site, centre court. As Djokovic hits the serve out wide, you get that echo. But I mean, the crowd here, after this match, they're going to get to see Emma Raducanu's first match at Wimbledon since winning that US Open title last year. Horrible miscue on the forehand return by Kwon that he'll hopefully not have to see a replay of later.
Some club players will be quite pleased to see that kind of shot, won't they? Because that was horrible. I don't know quite what happened there. That ball sort of swung into his body and he got it all wrong. Skewed off sideways.
Set point Djokovic. Here he is with a forehand on the line. Kwon reaches it with a backhand, but he's gone long. 33 minutes that took for Novak Djokovic to win the set. He was 3 games to 1 down. That feels like an awfully long time ago, because he's just won the last 5 games, Tony, and Djokovic has won the first set 6-3.
Yeah, you called it, David. You said he had a little sighter earlier on, and then bang, an air of menace about Novak Djokovic. So we'll continue to follow this match very shortly. Let's break for the news now, though, on 5 Live. Here's Richard Foster.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Tony. Good afternoon. Firefighters in Birmingham have found the body of a woman who died after a huge gas explosion last night. It destroyed one building and damaged several others in the King's Standing area. A man's also been pulled from the rubble and has life-threatening injuries. Kira Parkinson's partner helped to rescue him.
I just think, like most of us in King's Standing, it's just a day of sadness, because look what's happened, just a complete tragedy. But we're so proud of literally every single person that risked their life to go in there and help somebody else.
Leaders of the G7 industrialised nations say they'll support Ukraine for as long as it takes. They promise military and humanitarian aid and tighter sanctions against Russia. Serious concerns have been raised about Moscow's plans to transfer nuclear weapons to Belarus. A BBC investigation's found evidence that occupying Russian forces have stolen thousands of tons of grain from Ukraine. Our Europe correspondent Nick Beak has more.
To countries maybe that are in need of grain in Africa and the Middle East, they're asking them not to buy produce at a much lower rate, at a Russian discounted price, because a lot of it has been stolen, they say. So the message here is that support us on this very important issue.
The government wants barristers in England and Wales to accept a proposed pay increase of 15% and end their strike, which is part of a row about legal aid funding. The Criminal Bar Association says the offer would only apply to cases from 2023 and not to the backlog, which currently stands at almost 60,000. The Haemophilia Society has criticised Sir John Major for his comments at an inquiry into the infected blood scandal of the 1970s and 80s. The former Prime Minister said thousands of people infected with HIV after being contaminated blood products had suffered incredibly bad luck. The charity says his comments are offensive and complacent. And Graham Skidmore, the voice of Blind Date, has died at the age of 90. He was known as R. Graham by Scylla and summed up each contestant's merits at the end of each round. He was heard but not seen on the show between 1985 and 2002.
Wimbledon 2022 with Gigi Salmon and Tony Livesey on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Yeah, welcome back to centre court. Novak Djokovic cruising into first gear, now taking the first set against Kwon Sun-woo from South Korea. The South Korean about to serve to start the second set. Meantime, let's catch up with Sarah Orchard on court 12. Sarah.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the third seed here, Casper Ruud, who of course was the French Open finalist just a few weeks ago there. And Casper Ruud, of course, he is out there. He's taken the first set 7-6 against the Spaniard Albert Ramos Villanas. And at the moment he is serving to take the second set, but he's in a little bit of trouble. He is 5-4 up, but at the moment it's 15-40 on his serve. So a couple of breakback points here in the back pocket for the Spaniard as we just watched. There's a real breeze, I have to say, round here on the outer courts at the moment. You can see all the petunia hanging baskets really blustering around and fluttering. So there is a little bit of a wind for them to deal with. But at the moment, Casper Ruud, he is out there. He is trying to hold on and in this second set.
Cheers, Sarah. Forget the hanging baskets. You should have seen what it did to my quiff earlier on. But thankfully now I'm inside under the roof, so I'm all right. I'm coiffured again. Right, let us find out how England's men are doing in the cricket. Eleanor Oldroyd, hopefully with some decent news, Eleanor.
Yeah, you always need a finely coiffured quiff, Tony, don't you?
Exactly
England, you said that Djokovic is cruising it. So are Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root. Johnny Bairstow is 55 not out off 35 balls. He reached his 50 off just 30 balls. He's hit 2 massive sixes, including one which lodged in between the seats at the Howard stand. They didn't even bother to try and go and retrieve it. Joe Root's on 79. England are 269 for 3. They've only been playing for 48 minutes here, and they only need another 26 runs to win as they just jog through for another single. 271 for 3 now.
Cheers, Ellie. Thank you. So that's the men. What about England's women? They're playing South Africa in Taunton. Henry Moran's there for us.
The score 123 for 5. England have taken 1 wicket in the afternoon session. Really good low catch by Natalie Siver off the bowling of Kate Cross to remove the South African skipper Sunelise for 27. Marizanne Kapp is playing well. She's on 34 at the moment in the sunshine at Taunton. The score is rather satisfyingly 1-2-3-4-5.
Very good, yes. Cheers, Henry. Thank you. Here on centre court, Kwon Sunwoo's held his serve in the opening game of this second set. Russell Fuller's joined us in the commentary box. Russell, hello to you.
Hello, Tony. Nice start to the second set for the South Korean, who started that first set so well, didn't he? And then Novak Djokovic, after a cautious start, finding his feet on this grass and winning it comfortably by 6 games to 3. Just pausing for a moment here. Djokovic, the umpire has turned off the microphone, so we can't hear exactly what's going on, but it seems to be an issue with somebody in the crowd behind where Kwon Sun-woo is standing. Annabelle Croft is alongside me.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody, and it's quite low down in the stands, actually. It's in row 4, I think, or 5, and there's somebody attending to that person, and yeah, definitely need to stop play and hope that this person gets the treatment that they need. There's one sort of health expert around them at the moment, which is not good news, is it?
No, we do see this happen from time to time, and play will always stop. The players are now just being told exactly what is perhaps likely not to happen over the next few minutes. They're going to return to their chairs. There could be a little bit of a delay here.
Yeah, it was actually...
But Novak Djokovic will take it in his stride. They are playing still in the Cameron Nori match, which is going very much the British #1's way at the moment. Jonathan Overend is watching.
Yeah, I think Pablo Andujar is close to checking out here. He played a most peculiar game on the Nori serve, which Nori held to love for 1-1 in the early stages of this third set. And now Nori has love 40 on the Andujar serve. So what's that? 7 points in a row for the British man. This for an early break in the third set. Already leading the match 2 sets to love, and on grass that feels good. And will certainly enthuse Nori as he bounces around on the tips of his toes at the far end here on court number 2. Double fault from Andujar, and it's all a bit of a mess from the Spaniard's point of view. He trudges back disconsolately to his chair. Nori is full of high motivation, Jeff. He looks like he means business at Wimbledon this year. I know this is Andujar, round 1, 100 in the world and all that, but Nori's got big potential, I think, at Wimbledon 2022.
Well, it's interesting how calm he's been this whole match, but when he won that tiebreaker, that was the first time he had fist pumped the whole match, and he really gave it a good one. And then getting that break right there, he got his fist pump going again. So he's fired up to get through this match, which, when it's raining, you come on and off. You don't want that to happen too many times because your muscles tighten it up. And, he hasn't been seated this high in a slam where he has a chance, and I really feel like he's taking taking this opportunity out here on court 2 to work his way up the ranks in his mind and to get to that point where he believes that he should be there. Very important for him to win this match in 3 straight sets.
Well, he made that point, didn't he, before the tournament, that actually being ranked where he is now, coming in and seeded 9, it means that there's no repeat of last year when where he was in the ranking meant he was drawing Federer in the 3rd round.
Right.
So, you know, when you're 20-odd in the world, 30-odd in the world perhaps, you're going to come up against somebody world-class as early as the 3rd round. But where Nori is now, he's got that little bit of extra leeway, hasn't he?
A Spaniard or a Brazilian, Monteiro and Munar in the 2nd round, which really gives him a nice opportunity, and that's why I've got him penciled in to the 3rd round. And then you're looking out on the other courts, and the 7th seed is about to get upset. Fokina is up 2 sets to love, so that could really open up his draw in the round of 16.
Okay. Yes, good spot. That is one that passed me by. But yeah, that is a story brewing out there. Russell, what's happening on centre?
We are about to resume, Jonathan, after the person in the crowd was carried out of centre court for some medical attention with a little bit more privacy. Novak Djokovic was looking with some concern towards that particular part of centre court, but they are now able to resume this match. We're at the 2nd set stage. First set to the defending champion Djokovic by 6 games to 3 against Kwon Soon-woo of South Korea. And after Kwon held serve in the opening game under the roof here on centre court on the first day of Wimbledon 2022 on 5 Live, Djokovic has lost the first point on serve here, so is love 15 down. Already through today, Ons Jabeur, the second ranked player in the world, but the 3rd seed. The rankings don't quite reflect the seedings because of events on the tour last week. We will hear from her shortly as a good service winner from Djokovic moves to 30 love. Jody Burrage, the first of the 17 British singles players to complete her match, was beaten by Lesia Tsurenko after a fantastic few weeks on the grass. Chatting to Aaron Paul a little while ago, who was our reporter on that match, and he said she did look very, very tired. The one price of all the success on the tour. That's long with the forehand from Kwon. So Djokovic moves to 30-15. And as we look at some of the other matches in progress today, on a fairly cloudy day at Wimbledon, we see the match involving John Isner is underway, a potential 2nd round opponent for Andy Murray. I saw him on the screen just now. He appears to have disappeared. You can't miss him. He's giant, but he's disappeared from view. How strange.
Oh, weird.
Was I imagining things? I'm sure I saw John Isner's match underway.
How strange.
Maybe it was It's 4-all in the first set, but unless I'm really losing it on the first day of 14, it's disappeared from my view on our giant computer scoreboard here on centre court. It's there. It was me, rather than the technology or the All England Club. 4 games all with Enzo Cuoco, the French qualifier, on court 18. 40-15 Djokovic here, trying to level this 2nd set at 1 game all. Serving to the forehand of the South Korean, and he puts the forehand into the net. And Djokovic has plenty of margin for error here, I think, Annabelle.
I think so. I think he just looks very calm. It took him that 1 point just to resettle after what happened with the medical timeout, with that member of the crowd being taken out. And, you know, it was quite a long delay, wasn't it? So it just takes your time just to gather your thoughts again and get your rhythm back. But on the whole, I think he looks really sharp, to be honest. I think he's hitting the ball beautifully. And he's up against a very spirited opponent who's really coming out and swinging freely. That was maybe nearly got tongue-tied there.
It's a lovely position to be in, isn't it? If you can overcome your nerves as you walk out here to play the defending champion in the 1st round at Wimbledon, you can have a bit of a free swing, which Kwon is trying to do here, but he's gone long and already love 15 down on serve.
Yeah, David and I were talking about the fact that, you know, the grass does look so lush and so beautiful, but these early days, it can get a little bit sort of green and I don't want to use the word slippery because that would upset the groundsman, but, you know, it does have that feel about it where you can see the players padding around the court with their footwork because they don't want to slip over.
Forehand return from Djokovic is into the net. He looks skywards to the roof, which is over centre court, because there are the threat of more showers over the next hour or so. A delay earlier for the matches on the outside courts, but they can play continuously on centre court and number 1 court because of the 2 roofs we have. 1 game all, second set, 15 all. Good serve from Kwon and the double-handed backhand return from Djokovic just over the baseline.
15.
Yeah, he really possesses a very dangerous serve, Kwon. I mean, he's banging it down regularly up in that 123 mile per hour mark, and he's getting a lot of free points behind it. And bearing in mind that Djokovic, we always consider one of the best returners of all time, with that great depth and precision, but he's struggling on some of these serve returns.
Just hitting a backhand too long there again, Djokovic, who would much prefer tradition to be maintained as far as practice on centre court and number 1 court is concerned. I'm sure he could see the reasons for the practice last Thursday and Friday as Kwon serves and volleys, and a second very athletic volley with great instincts, trying to shield his body with his racket as well in the point as Djokovic shanks a forehand into the crowd.
Well, he's laughing about it. He's got a big smile on his face, Kwon, because he had 2 balls absolutely bulleted at him there. And he did a very good job shielding himself. And then the final shot that Djokovic hit came off the top of his strings and went into the crowds. And actually, Djokovic is just looking across at his camp. And that's the first time I've seen him muttering across that way. So he wasn't happy with the way that last point finished.
He would have preferred, Tony, to be the first to walk onto the virgin grass of centre court, although he did say one of the other traditions that's changed, play on the middle Sunday. That's great by him.
It does seem as though Wimbledon, the great and the good, have got together this year and thought, I know, let's throw everyone out a kilter and change just about everything. I find anyway, but for a tournament that just thrives on tradition, just little tweaks have been made this time around. I don't know, maybe they're trying to evolve as a tournament. Annabelle, one thing I want to ask you, we were talking to Marion Bartley earlier on about Novak Djokovic and Laura Robson as well, and both of them said, we think he's superhuman, but he will still feel nerves. I find that hard to believe. He's won this umpteen times. He's one of the greatest tennis players that ever lived, but we're led to believe when he walks out here today, he's still got an element of, I wouldn't say doubt, but butterflies in his stomach, and then he was broken early doors. Is that
definitely
the case?
Yeah, it is.
How
and I
can that
think that, you know, a lot of the top players even admit it when they go into their press conferences afterwards, and you often hear them say after the first round in any Grand Slam that there are butterflies and nerves. It's almost a good thing because it means how much you care about what you're doing out there. But you know, early rounds is where they're most vulnerable. You know, if you come out and you're a little bit rusty, we said before, he hasn't played a match since the French Open quarterfinals where he lost to Nadal, hasn't had any matches on the grass. You know, there's just a little bit of vulnerability there.
3.5 weeks ago, that French Open quarter-final. So even if you're Novak Djokovic, it's going to take a little bit of a while to find your stride. There's an aggressive forehand from inside the baseline by Kwon Soon-woo to win the first point against the Djokovic serve. A break-back point for Pablo Andujar, Jonathan.
Yes, and where's this come from? Because it's saved by an excellent Nori serve down the centre. He's serving at 3-2, third set Nori, slipped to 30-40, now it's deuce, but there was a sequence of 13 points in Nori's favour as Andujar gifted away 3 successive love service games, and now Nori has turned this one around. There's another forehand winner. It's his advantage now, the British man, leading 3-2 third set and by 2 sets to love.
Novak Djokovic looking skywards, roofwards again as he misses the backhand. So he's love 30 down here. The chance for Kwon to get the break first in this second set, just as he did in the first. Forehand cross-court from the South Korean. Down the line and long goes Djokovic. Love 40 on the Serb's serve. Not something you say too often in tennis commentary. 3 break points to Kwon.
Yeah, and again, he looks skywards and just a bit irritated and rattled the fact that he's missed those balls. And somehow he's got to kick this ball away from the forehand side of Kwon because he's really found his range with that. That's the real potent weapon out here. And he's so quick with his footwork around the ball to get it on that forehand side. And if you remember, at the end of the first set, Djokovic started to use a lot more slices just to unsettle that forehand a little bit more. I wonder whether he'll start using that again because Kwon getting into his stride.
Forehand return from Kwon. The first of 3 break points is all he needs as Djokovic, with an unforced error, hits the forehand into the net. A surprisingly poor game from the 6-time champion here at Wimbledon. And once again, Annabelle, Kwon has given himself an opportunity. He's broken first in the set.
Yeah, and he was given a helping hand there, wasn't he, with all those errors out of Djokovic's racket. And interestingly to see that second serve was absolutely massive from Djokovic, almost like he rolled the dice as if, right, I'm fed up with this game, I'm just going to try and put in a big serve, see if it's an ace. And then he went for that forehand on that last shot and missed it. But there was kind of an attitude of like, right, you know, I'm a bit fed up with this. He is starting to just get a little bit more irritated out here.
Kwon hits a very fluent backhand. Now the drive volley, which he does not get right at all. And it's the line judge at the back of the court that has to take evasive action as Kwon nearly lands it in the backstop on the full.
Yeah, and that was a collective. How many people are in centre court these days?
15,000.
It's a collective sigh of 15,000 people. That never feels good when you miss a ball like that.
Love 15 down, Kwon. 5 live by the BBC Sounds app on the first day of Wimbledon 2022. Kwon's put a first serve into the net. Here's his second serve, and it's a double fault.
Yeah, that was a pretty big second serve he was going for there. Not holding back. Probably not such a bad idea, though, because if he puts in anything short on second serve, you know that Djokovic is going to step in and crunch it and take advantage of it.
So, couple of gifts for Djokovic now. And threatening to break back immediately, Kwon puts the first serve into the net, serving in front of the royal box. In front of the camera crews. And barely an empty seat to be seen on centre court on this opening day. Second serve here from Kwon. Love 30 down. Djokovic with the forehand. A good deep return, and Kwon on the defensive is only able to poke a backhand cross-court and wide. And now it's love 40 on the South Koreans' serve.
Yeah, that was typical Novak Djokovic, wasn't it? Stamping on that second serve and getting that really deep to the baseline. He hadn't really finished his service motion, and that ball was already back at his feet. And as you said, rushed on it, poked at it. No chance that was going back in. Well, that didn't take long to get into this position.
Good serve in towards the body by Kwon. 3 break points down. Slice backhand from Djokovic. Backhand from Kwon. Djokovic again will slice his backhand onto the backhand of Kwon. Backhand for Kwon. Forehand from Djokovic with a little bit more pace on it. Cross court with the forehand, Djokovic. Forehand down the line. Into the net, though, from the top seed. But the world number 3.
15,
we're missing the top 2 here at Wimbledon. Daniil Medvedev not welcome because of his nationality. And Alex Zverev doing some horrible damage to his ligaments of his ankle in the French Open semi-final against Rafa Nadal at Roland Garros 3 weeks ago. Second break point here for Djokovic. He slices his backhand. Double-handed backhand from Kwon to the Djokovic forehand. Backhand from Kwon. Djokovic with the forehand to the backhand side once again of the South Korean. Now the mid-court ball from Djokovic, but Kwon spotted it and moved in very nicely, and it was an easy put away in the end. A backhand down the line saves the second of 3 break points against him.
14.
Well, Djokovic not good enough with the drop shot. He looked sky high once again after that one. That was a telegram, wasn't it? And it was also very high. It gave Kwon plenty of time to get up to that one and put away the winner.
Third break point for Djokovic to break back, but the forehand is into the net. So Kwon holding on. Juice trying to extend his lead to 4-1 in the second set. Djokovic having won the first set 6-3. And on the absence of Medvedev and Zverev, the top 2 ranked players in the world, it's the first time since the introduction of the ATP rankings in 1973 that both number 1 and number 2 have been missing from Wimbledon. Forehand from Djokovic. Kwon with the forehand cross-court. Forehand down the line from Djokovic. Kwon with the backhand. Djokovic's forehand. It's long. 4 points in a row won by Kwon. And now a point for 4-1.
Advantage, Kwon.
Well, this is a real surprise, isn't it? He's lost his focus and concentration out here, particularly having his opponent down love 40. You look like he was just about to get things back on track and be looking to try and get a 2-sets to love lead if he could keep things going, but quite the opposite.
Ace from Kwon Soon-woo, who hangs on, saves 3 break points, Tony, and leads by 4-1 in this second set.
Yeah, having got a story developing here. He certainly looks a little bit out of sorts to me, Novak Djokovic. I'm no expert, but I've seen him for 5 or 6 years on the bounce, and he doesn't look quite with it right now. We'll continue to watch this match very shortly, but let's get an update. No surprises in the cricket, Ellie.
It's all over here, Tony, and Jonny Bairstow and Joe Root are just shaking the hands of the New Zealand substitute fielders. England have knocked off the runs that they needed in the 55th over of the innings, so only very slightly slower than they did at Trent Bridge. An hour and 5 minutes today, 15 overs and 3 balls they took to get the 113 they needed to win. Joe Root finishing not out 86, Jonny Bairstow not out 71. His 50 off 30 balls, the second fastest half-century in tests for England. This is a new England in every sense of the word. They've won this test match by 7 wickets and they take the test series 3-0.
Good stuff, Ellie, thank you. Let's find out how Britain's number 1, Cam Nori, is doing on court number 2, Jonathan Owen. He's inching his way to victory, I think, Jonathan.
He is. He's well. He was racing. Well, what's the metric extension of an inch? He was footing his way to victory a few minutes ago. It's now a bit closer, 4-3. Nori is ahead in this third set. Here he slips. Now that is the first. You were talking about it a minute ago, and there is our first slip on court 2, and in fairness it's taken an hour and 45 minutes to get it. It's for Nori. He does pick himself up immediately though. He seems okay. He was wrong-footed by an Andujar forehand, but it's Nori ahead 4-3 with a break. He's got 40-30 game point on his own serve. And Jeff Tarango, any nerves coming in at the moment for the British fans, or do you have confidence in Nori to close it out from here?
Yeah, that stumble was maybe a little bit of nerves, but it was also, hey, I'm the top seed, I'm up 2-0 and a break. I'm not going to hurt myself with this surprise drop shot from the clay quarter up 40-15. I'm just going to kind of let that one go. And he fell smartly straight down, didn't try to twist around.
Oh yeah, no, good thinking. Backhand cross court hits the line from Nori. The forehand is long from Andujar, who complains to the umpire, but it was definitely on the line, and Nori moves into a 5-3 lead in this third set.
Cheers, Jonathan. Thank you. Let's head out now to say our first hello of Wimbledon to Naomi Cavide. Hello, Naomi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. On court number 1, watching the Spanish wonder kid, Carlos Alcaraz.
Oh, and he is a wonder kid. What an exciting player. And really, could this be the first chapter in a magical story over this fortnight for Alcaraz? He seems like he's sort of ready to win a Grand Slam. And I'm alongside Mark Woodford. He's up against Jan-Lennard Struff, which in many years, in any year, apart from this year, would have been a really tough draw. But he's a bit out of sorts. He's been injured, has Jan-Lennard Struff. But with Carlos Alcaraz, he's the 6th seed. Is he genuinely a contender for the title?
Well, I think those answers may be, the questions may be answered at the end of this match if he can survive the dynamic play of Jan-Lennard Struff, whose lack of match play wins under his belt, but he is one of the few real grass quarters in my opinion, so a tough first match for the wonder kid.
The wonder kid, well, he's off and running. He's held serve at 1-love. He's not played any grass court matches. This is his first one. He's got heavy sort of sleeves and taping on his right elbow. That's been an issue for him. He's already had a couple of break points, but he's 1-love up and juice, Tony.
Cheers, Naomi. Thank you. Back to this match very shortly, where Novak Djokovic is having something of a wobble. The number 3 seed, Casper Ruud, Sarah Orchard's having his own wobble to contend with.
Well, we call it a wobble. He's playing against Albert Ramos Villanas of Spain, and these two, they much prefer clay courts than they do grass. Neither of them have great pedigree here at Wimbledon, you have to say. Of course, Casper Ruud, he is the man that everyone's keeping an eye on at the moment, 23-year-old Norwegian, the 3rd seed, who got through to that French Open final. They lost to Rafael Nadal. He took the first set on a tiebreak 7-6, and we're into another tiebreak now in this second set. And it's actually Ramos Villanas who leads this at the moment, 7-6 in the tiebreak, but we've just leveled. It's now 7-7, and you just have a feeling about some tennis matches, don't you? We are now 2 hours in and we have not completed the second set. I could be here on court 12 for a little while, Tony.
Cheers, Sarah. We'll be back and forth if you are. Back to this match here on centre court. And Djokovic has a bit of work to do, Russell Fuller.
He does, and he's had to recover from 15-30 in that latest service game, Tony, to hold serve, so he trails Kwon Soon-woo by 4-2. Remember, it was a South Korean that broke first in the first set, but Djokovic won it by 6-3. As he begins the defence of his title here at Wimbledon, tries to win it for a 7th time, which would equal Pete Sampras and William Renshaw. Roger Federer has won 8 titles, and also trying to win it 4 years in a row. That is an ace from Kwon to begin this service game. Never even won the Australian Open 4 times in a row, which is his most dominant slam, so it would be a first for him in his Grand Slam career, this stunning Grand Slam career, which so far has seen him win 20 slams. But he's 2 behind Rafael Nadal, and he's 35 years of age now. Kwon serves to the backhand of Djokovic. Kwon picks up the backhand, it lands in the middle of the court. That is hit powerfully cross-court by Djokovic, who's now slipped. His forehand cross-court was good, but he just slipped fairly gracefully and landed on his front. Knees and elbows in the grass in front of the royal box, but bouncing up very, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a bit of a divot, actually, just behind the baseline, where there's a bit of sort of brown patch there now, where I think he's just taken some of the grass out and actually nearly planted his chin on the white line, didn't he?
He will not be fined for taking a chunk out of the court. It was a natural slip, but just a reminder, however great a grass court player you are, and even if this court has been played in a little bit on the Thursday and Friday before the championships, it's still fairly slippery as we go to court 2, did I hear? Yes. Cameron Norrie, in fact. Jonathan Owen.
Absolutely, match point to Cam Norrie, the British #1 and 9th seed. And this is a good performance to put away Pablo Andujar. 5-3, Norrie leads. It's his advantage on the Andujar serve. Forehand from the Spaniard. Norrie's going for a highlights reel shot down the line, but he just misses with his backhand. It was a nice attempt. I'm sure he'll get another chance in a moment. He's leading the match by 2-0. He's 5-3 up in this 3rd set. He will play either the Brazilian Thiago Monteiro or the Spaniard Juan Munar in the 2nd round. So Norrie will fancy his chances of going on a mini run here as he punches a backhand return just long.
As
you can hear from the umpire, Carlos
it was well out.
Bernardes.
It was well out. He's just double checking.
Challenge. Jeff is confident. You're exuding confidence, Jeffrey.
Well, you don't want to
this year.
You don't get extra money in the locker room.
It's
for
in.
the challenges. Oh my goodness! How is that in? Andujar put his hand up right away.
Would you like to say anything?
I'll apologize. That ball was in. It looked well out. Must be the shadow or the shutter that keeps closing on us.
Deuce point, Andujar. Oh, he's slipping match point down again because he's netting with a forehand, and that was a rather simple shot from mid-court, and the crowd have been into this throughout, and they're getting right behind Cam Norrie. They're also quite excited that the end of the match is nigh because those grey clouds are getting gloomier and darker and thunderier above by the second, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's more rain at Wimbledon in the next few minutes. Let's see if Norrie can get this done and get himself safely into the 2nd round and back to the locker room. 2nd serve for Andujar, backhand return for Norrie. Forehand from Andujar onto the backhand of the British man who drives that long, and that definitely is long. And a man in a grey baseball cap and pink shirt in front of us waves his arms in frustration. And it's back to deuce.
Yeah, there was a rare unforced error from Norrie there. Missed it by about a foot down the line, and perfecting that shot is going to be the key to his success in this tournament, I believe.
Andujar serves, backhand from Norrie, just inside the baseline. He's playing an aggressive game here on returner serve, Norrie, but then the oohs and ahs as a forehand from Norrie drops down only halfway up the net, and it's now game point Andujar.
Well, that was a nervy forehand, wasn't it? He scooped it, barely made it to the net. Maybe got a little bit of a bad bounce, but you can see he's thinking a lot out there.
Game point to the Spaniard, serves down the centre, backhand return Norrie. Norrie then leaning into that off backhand once more, which works. Jeff was querying the play and the shot making on that particular drive shot earlier in the match, but that was well executed from Norrie. Andujar nets, and it's 2 points away from the match, Cameron Norrie. It's a situation really to be savoured, Jeff, isn't it? You know, for those of us who grew up and one win for one British player at Wimbledon was like, you know, was like winning the whole thing. As Norrie scores with an excellent backhand, Andujar coming into the net, and his low volley goes into the net. So we do have match point.
Yeah, I remember the days of Barry Cohen getting a 5-setter. He lost, in the first round. That was a huge deal. Or Mark Petchey getting 1 set on center court was a huge deal. And then along came Ruzetsky and Hinman, and that kind of changed everything.
Yeah, but even beyond that, Jeff, to now have a 2-time Wimbledon winner in Andy Murray and a top 10 player in Cam Nori, who's seeded 9th. Nori backhand return on match point. Oh, a miss-hit forehand, and listen to the crowd's reaction as the ball sails over the baseline, and another match point goes by. Cameron Nori has to keep his confidence up and keep believing that these opportunities will keep coming.
Thank you.
A little bit of an exchange between Nori, I think, and the front row of spectators down there, just out of our sight, though. He's at this near end as Andujar serves towards us. Block return from Nori. Aggressive forehand from Andujar. Now comes into the net and makes a hard volley. And credit to Pablo, the Spaniard. He's still fighting.
And coming into the net more, realizing that the baseline game is not working on this grass. Being a lot more aggressive. Nori with some good passing shots. That time the ball just sat up a little bit.
Kwon is leading Djokovic by 5 games to 3 in the second set and is about to serve for that second set to level the match. Back there very shortly as Nori strikes through his forehand, and then a second one cross-court onto the backhand of Andujar, and then a third one from Nori. Andujar now changes the direction and drifts it long, so the game continues and we're back to deuce. Nori 2 points away once again from the match.
And nice fist pumps there from Nori after hitting through those forehands really well.
Here comes the rain, Jeff. And I suspected we were going to get the rain, and Andujar's laughing. Nori can't believe that he hasn't been able to close this match. The brollies are up, the coats are going on, the covers are coming over, and Nori is coming off 2 points away from the match. Back to you on centre, Russell.
Well, we may have another interruption here. There's an older woman who's able to drink out of her own water bottle now, but she did not look too clever from this distance for a while, and there were people standing up either side of her as the first point of this game was played. We don't have any medical staff yet. I think the question would be whether she feels she just wants to leave her seat. It's a fantastic seat in the 4th row, and there are a couple of people with her now as to whether she's going to be able to continue to sit there and feel okay, or whether she needs a little bit of air or a little bit of attention. She, I think, is going to leave the court. The first point was won by Novak Djokovic, with Kwon Soon-woo serving for the second set at 5-3, now love 15. Let's find out about Carlos Alcaraz's start to this year's Wimbledon with Naomi Cavaday.
Well, a little bit slow, Russell. He's down a break of serve. He had a couple of breakpoint opportunities himself, but he was broken quite comfortably to 15 by Jan-Lennard Struff, who has a big serve and a big forehand and a great grass court game. He is definitely a difficult opponent, but he's had a really rubbish year coming back from injury. Carlos Alcaraz, just 19 years old, looking to live up to the expectation, but he's down 2-1, but it's juice on the Struff serve.
The lady is being helped away from the court. Let's go quickly to court 12. 2 players who'd much rather be playing this on clay or any other surface than grass. Sarah Orchard.
Yes, that is right, Russell. I've been watching the 3rd seed Casper Ruud against Albert Ramos Villenas, and of course Ruud, he's just fresh from reaching that final of the French Open. He is 2-love up here. He's taken the first 2 sets, both on a tie break. But of course, like everyone else on these outside courts now, we are just watching the race of who can get the covers on the quick enough as the rain starts to fall. But he's taken those first 2 sets, 7-6, 7-6.
Frustrating second, hopefully fairly brief, narrow band of rain that was promised at Wimbledon this afternoon. Here is Kwon at love 15. He's gone long with the backhand, serving for the set to level things up with Novak Djokovic, but now love 30 down. Remember, he recovered from love 40 down a couple of service games ago, winning 5 points in a row to hang on to his serve. Even more tension in the arm perhaps here as he tries to level the match with Djokovic. Annabelle Croft is watching alongside me on centre court. The roof is closed, so there'll be no delay here on centre court. Forehand from Kwon. Djokovic with the forehand cross court. Kwon with the forehand down the line. Djokovic slicing his backhand. Slice backhand from Kwon. Djokovic with the forehand, hits the tape. Kwon is there, hits to the back of the court, and Djokovic nets on the backhand, and again, he doesn't look a very happy bunny, Annabelle.
He really doesn't, Russell. He looks very lethargic at the moment. He's gone into this very, very slow walk in between points, and he didn't react that quickly when Kwon got up to that let court. And really the passing shot was there, wasn't it? But there was sort of no energy through the legs of Novak Djokovic.
Down the middle and wide from Kwon. Djokovic has been practicing at Wimbledon. He had the one exhibition match at Hurlingham last week. But first competitive match on the grass for a year. First competitive match anywhere for 3.5 weeks, and you do have to be careful with your footing. In the back of his mind is the danger of an injury that could ruin his Wimbledon before it's even begun. Forehand from Djokovic onto the backhand of Kwon. Djokovic slices his backhand down the centre. Kwon with the backhand. Djokovic slicing the backhand to the double-handed backhand of the South Korean. Another backhand for Kwon. Djokovic landing that backhand so deep in the court. He's got his man on the move, but a good reply from Kwon, who's now hitting through the forehand for a winner. And that was a glorious shot from Kwon. 2 points away from levelling the match at 1-all.
Well, there was just an eruption from the crowd here, and he's really winning them over, and they're enjoying watching these booming forehand winners. And it was the way he constructed that point, Kwon. And as soon as Djokovic came off that ball, which means you don't really get hold of it and it sits up on the grass, Kwon was quick to stamp on it and hit that winner.
30-all. Backhand reply from Djokovic. The drop shot here from Kwon, and Djokovic is beaten. Just slightly lost his footing as he set off in pursuit, which he hasn't done with all the drop shots in the match in this second set, but it was too good. It's set point Kwon.
Well, that was absolute perfection and such creativity on centre court here, not only showing us the power from the back of the court, but lovely touch and feel around that drop shot.
Backhand reply from Djokovic is long, and Kwon does have a set on centre court. A set against the six-time champion Novak Djokovic as he begins the defence of his title on this Monday afternoon. 6-3, he levels the match, and remember, he was a break-up in the first set as well, which Novak Djokovic won by 6-3. So just like Jack Draper last year in Djokovic's opener, the champion has dropped a set. Best of 5, no need to panic yet, but 1-all after an hour and 12 minutes, Gigi.
Well, yes, Russell,
Tony.
thank you. Gigi is here.
I am here, I'm just staying quiet in the corner.
Yeah, we're at drama under the floodlights then here on centre court. Annabelle, we've both spotted something, the key difference being you know what you're talking about and I don't, but his body language, Novak Djokovic, just doesn't seem right, particularly as you said on those walkbacks after a point.
Yeah, he just has gone very, very sort of lethargic. In fact, he's just popped a pill, I will tell you, or something went in his mouth, so I don't know whether he's not feeling quite right. He certainly looks very lacking in energy. You know, he had that chat with the umpire a few games ago. He's been looking across at his camp, but it's just more the way he's walking around the court in between points. It's just very lacking in energy. He looks like he needs a good steak and baked potato and a coffee or something just to kind of rev him up a bit.
Well, I don't think he's got time for that, but he has popped a pill. They'll be back underway shortly, and we'll be back with our commentary team of David Law and Annabelle Croft very shortly. But I'm very happy to say that joining us now is Great Britain's Jody Burrage. Jody, lovely to speak to you. Defeat today to Lesia Tsurenko in straight sets. When we spoke, when you just arrived in Eastbourne, it was non-stop. You have had such good results through the grass to this point and coming here to Wimbledon. How do you look back? What's your reaction to how things went today, Jody?
Yeah, thanks for having me, firstly. Yeah, a little disappointed, obviously. Couldn't get the level of tennis that I had been in the last few weeks out on court today. But to be honest, I enjoyed my experience today. The crowd were great, really kept me positive. And look, like, if I'm not going to take positives from the last few weeks, when am I ever going to take positives? So yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm feeling positive and motivated for the next block of tournaments.
Yeah, through to the final at Ilkley, you get a wild card into Eastbourne, you knock out the top seed in the world number 3 at the time, Paula Badosa. How's the body feeling right now? Because you played an awful lot of tennis.
Yeah, I've played a lot for sure. The body's hurting me a little bit, to be honest. A little lethargic, which I think played a part today, and mentally, obviously, to keep going. It's been a long 5 weeks. Yeah, which I think, didn't have the best results today, but like it's been really positive. Like I said, I've won a lot of matches over this grass court season. It's annoying that I couldn't get over the line today, get my first win at Wimbledon, but hopefully I'm going to be back here next year and many years after that. That's the goal, and so at some point it will come.
Yeah, you brought a new career high ranking into Wimbledon. Can you just explain to everyone why you were administering Percy pigs on court a little bit earlier?
Unfortunately, one of the ball boys felt really faint, and I had tried to supply him with Powerade and one of the gels that I have, but especially the gel, it's not the nicest tasting thing. So I was really looking for some sweets at the side of the court. I didn't have any in my bag, and luckily someone said, I've got some Percy pigs here. So that was a lot easier to get down him. And you know what? Actually, after he ate that, a minute or two passed, and he actually felt a lot better. So getting that sugar in him really helped him. But yeah, I just hope he's okay now.
Yeah, Jody, I know the reaction to my children when they have a couple of Percy pigs. They are bouncing off the walls. So what is the plan for you now? Are you doubles or mixed here, and where do you go post Wimbledon?
I've got doubles with Eden Silva, which will be Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm signing into mix with Lloyd Glasspool. So we'll see if we get in that. Hopefully we do. Hopefully I can have some fun on court with those two. They're great friends of mine, so really looking forward to that. And then a short break, and then back on the road, back training and getting prepared for the US swing.
Jody, as you say, so many positives to take for you through this grass court swing. So thank you very much, and good luck in the doubles a bit later.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Jody Burrage speaking to us, who lost to Lesia Sarenko, but as I say, she came into this tournament with a new career high ranking at final in Ilkley, the Challenger Circuit, and beating Paula Badosa. So many positives to take. We are back underway on centre court. I can tell you that Djokovic, the popping the pill worked because he's held serve first game, third set. We're back here very shortly, but over on court one, a young man who Novak Djokovic described, Naomi Cavaday, earlier this year as the best player in the world at the moment, is in action.
Yeah, he's not the only one. Many of the top five have said that he's playing the best level of anyone out on tour. He had a quarter-final defeat to Alexander Zverev at the French Open. There were big expectations for him there, but he really has stormed through to the top 10 as Carlos Alcaraz, 19 years old. He's still down a break to Jan-Lennard Struff, 3-1, but we have seen some delightful grass court tennis from Struff so far, Woody.
We have, and the way that he created that break, so he earned it by surviving break points of his own in the previous game, but then he played a delightful return followed by a backhand slice, got to net. He's using his presence, Jan-Lennard Struff, and he's very close to even picking up a second break of serve here.
Alcaraz, as you can hear, just a shot taking the top of the net and going wide, so back to deuce, trailing 3-1. But this is a fun one, Gigi, because Struff loves to come forward. Alcaraz loves a passing shot, so we're seeing plenty of good stuff.
Is that the rain we can also hear? Court one.
It is very loud on our wonderful roof. We are very dry, but it sounds pretty intense out there.
It does, doesn't it? Can't hear a thing here on centre court. Woody and Naomi, thank you very much. We'll keep an eye on Carlos Alcaraz on court number one. Now, though, with the time just approaching 3 o'clock here on 5 Live, let's get some news with Richard Foster.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Police and firefighters in Birmingham have praised around a dozen people who rescued their neighbour from the wreckage of a house destroyed by a gas explosion last night. A woman was found dead under the rubble. The man rescued is in hospital with life-threatening injuries. These people live nearby.
I thought it was a bomb. Absolutely horrible, but I just hope and I'm praying that everyone's okay, to be honest.
There was a gentleman driving past the property. His car was destroyed. All his windows, sunroof had all been blown out. And my car is 6 doors up and that's taken shrapnel damage.
Leaders of the G7 countries are promising to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. They've been meeting at a summit in Germany discussing fresh sanctions against Russia and further financial and military support for Ukraine. Our correspondent Jenny Hill is at the summit.
A number of experts, analysts, politicians have suggested that really the only way out of this conflict will be for Ukraine ultimately to hand over some of the territory that Vladimir Putin's troops have taken. Well, the leaders in this document say it's for Ukraine to choose its own future. There will be, they say, no outside pressure dictating or determining any future terms of any potential peace settlement.
A serving West Midlands police officer has been charged after allegedly abusing his power. It's claimed Anthony Ritchie, who's 44, 25, had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a woman he met while on duty. It follows an investigation by the Office for Police Conduct. The Irish Foreign Minister, Simon Coveney, says he's hugely disappointed that the government's trying to give ministers the power to scrap post-Brexit trade arrangements for Northern Ireland. MPs will vote on the bill this afternoon. The EU says the plans breach international law. And some court hearings in England and Wales have been disrupted because of a strike by criminal barristers in a dispute over pay and conditions. The Criminal Bar Association says members' pay has fallen by 26% in real terms since 2006. The government says the strikes will only delay justice for victims.
BBC Sounds. What makes you feel physically and mentally stronger? That is the question I ask guests on my podcast to discover their secrets to health and happiness.
I see going to bed at the right time as an investment in tomorrow rather than a sacrifice for today.
It's all about sharing stories and inspirational things that can help you live a stronger, healthier life.
Playing music was enormously beneficial for my happiness.
Sam Ryder, how did it feel going out on stage?
It's not other people that are making you nervous. It's all coming from you, so you can switch it off and flip the narrative.
I really hope you can join us. The Joe Wicks podcast, listen on BBC Sounds.
Wimbledon 2022 with Gigi Salmon and Tony Livesey on BBC Radio 5 Live.
It's lovely to have your company. We are well underway with day one. The rain, though, is falling, so no play on the outside courts, but wonderfully we have a roof on centre court, we have a roof on court one, and we'll be back very shortly with Novak Djokovic, the defending champion, just into a third set against Kwon Soon Woo. But some other sports news for you. And England won the third test against New Zealand by 7 wickets to complete a 3-0 series win. Johnny Bairstow smashed a 30-ball 50 on his way to 71 not out as England chased down their target of 296 for victory. Let's now get an update on the women's cricket that's taking place in Taunton. I think they've been lucky with the weather so far, and there for us, Henry Moran.
Yes, we've managed to dodge the showers so far in the southwest. South Africa's women 153 for 5. England taking lots of wickets in the morning session, but just one since lunch, and this is a good partnership now between Marizanne Kapp and Bosch at the other end, who's on 30. Kapp has just reached a half century, her first in Test cricket, which isn't saying much. This is only the second Test in 8 years that South Africa have played, but she's been outstanding. England looking for wickets, maybe just trying a little bit hard to find a wicket-taking ball every time. And South Africa at the moment looking reasonably comfortable, 155 for 5.
Henry, thank you very much. And England's 2019 World Cup winning captain Owen Morgan, he's set to retire from international cricket. We could get official confirmation of that news tomorrow. A football line for you, and Northern Ireland manager Kenny Shiels has included the experienced Julie Nelson and Ashley Hutton in his squad for the Women's Euros, and it's not too long till they get underway. And Mark Cavendish has not been selected to ride in this year's Tour de France, which starts on Friday. So the time is 5 minutes past 3. Thankfully we have these roofs. The weather's been lovely. It's raining today, but we've still got tennis. He's had a little wobble, the defending champion Novak Djokovic. Let's see if he can right the ship in set 3. We've had a shuffle in the commentary box. Now alongside Annabelle Croft, David Law.
Thank you, Gigi. Yeah, we have had a wobble, haven't we, from Novak Djokovic? And some of that's been caused by the really dynamic play of his opponent, Kwon Soon Woo of Korea, who's 24 years of age, 81 in the world. He's been just outside the top 50 as his highest ranking in his career, but even so, absolutely no signs in his career really that you could put up as evidence that he would have produced a performance over the hour and 24 minutes we've had of this match so far like this, Annabelle Croft, because it's not just that second set. He was 3-1 up in the first set as well, was Kwon. He has played exceptional tennis, and Djokovic, I don't know whether he's unwell. You mentioned he popped a pill at the end of that second set, but he does look a bit rattled just generally.
Yeah, he definitely does. And I think that even though he's gone into sort of like what I call lockdown mode of like, right, I'm not going to miss the ball, I'm going to try and just stay in the rally and out-hit you, Kwon is growing in stature by the moment, and he's coming out on top of quite a lot of the baseline exchanges. He's done some beautiful drop shots, and generally he's being a pest to Djokovic. He's not going away, and he's got this wonderful attitude of just going for it, but coming up trumps with so many powerful ground strokes. He's coping with the slice backhands. Everything he's doing out here is getting better and better. I think he's going to be quite problematic in this match, and I didn't see that at the start. I really thought Djokovic would have no problem putting this player away.
Yes, agreed. Djokovic has never lost a match in the first round at Wimbledon before in his whole career. He's twice lost a Grand Slam first round match, but you'd have to go back 16 years to the last time. That was against Paul Goldstein, an American player, the year before he lost to Marat Safin. But I mean, Djokovic was a teenager at that time. As he hits an overhead smash away, does Djokovic to move ahead 2-1. And he
2-1, third set, 1-0.
Is still very much the favourite for this match. I mean, we shouldn't get carried away, should we? I think it's maybe almost a little bit more surprising that he lost the set after he'd won a set.
Yeah, and also he had, I think, was it Love 30? In fact, he's just gone and grabbed a great big box of tissues from underneath the umpire's chair. So is he going to blow his nose? I think he is. So maybe he's suffering from a bit of a cold. He took a big sigh before he did that as well. But, Kwon put up some unbelievable lob defence, and there were opportunities in that last couple of games ago for Djokovic to maybe get an early break in this third set, and it didn't happen. And he looks as if he's almost just going through the motions out here in this match, and he's waiting for Kwon to just drop off in level. And I think he thinks that if he's only at sort of like 70-80%, that should be enough to get this match done. But I feel like he's going to have to work a little bit harder in this match. In fact, he's just poured an enormous bottle of water all over his head.
Wow.
Which I don't think I've ever seen him do on centre court.
No, I mean, it all adds to the feeling that Djokovic is just feeling a bit subpar physically at the moment. And he's trying to wake himself up. He's trying to get himself feeling refreshed out here. And
it was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's 2-1 ahead here. It's 1-1. No play on the outside courts other than court 1 and here on centre court, which are the ones with the roofs. There's no play before 3:30 now, so at least 20 minutes until the resumption of the match involving Cameron Nori, who's actually only 2 points away from victory against Pablo Andahar potentially. 2 sets up, 5-3 up and deuce, and lots of really exciting matches going on the courts all around as a backhand has gone long from Kwon there at the start of this fourth game of the third set, because Hubert Hurkacz, who was last year's semi-finalist, is 2-0 down against Alejandro Davidovich Fekina of Spain. That's 5 games all in the third set. So they're also delayed by the rain at the moment. Casper Ruud is 2-0 up. So there's a lot of decent names out there, players that are expected to have a run here that are still in their first round matches, which are suspended because of rain. Another lovely little drop shot struck by Kwon, just dropping the forehand racket face underneath the ball and putting a bit of backspin on it, and Djokovic couldn't reach it.
Yeah, he's done so many great shots out here, and that's really difficult to read, that particular shot, and I haven't felt like Djokovic has had the energy just to kind of really always go after those shots. Doesn't really trust his footing on the courts. I keep waiting for Djokovic just to kind of raise his level and be the champion that he's been here on this court, but it seems to be taking some time to get going.
Forehand hit down the middle by Kwon at the far end of the court. He's wearing a white baseball cap. He's got this fluorescent orange framed racket which really stands out against the white of his shirt as he chips his backhand and clips the top of the net. Djokovic playing a patient game with the backhand slice down the line. Then a forehand on the line. Big shots these from Djokovic, but still in the rally is Kwon. And why does Djokovic go on with that inside-out backhand slice? He's faded it into the tram lines and he's 30-15 down. And as he walks towards our commentary box window right now, just mopping his brow with his wristband on his right wrist, and he just doesn't look too happy.
No, he doesn't. And the fact that he poured that water over his head, I mean, I don't know whether that was just to kind of like freshen himself up and think, right, come on, a bit of a wake-up call, like a cold shower sort of thing. But, everything he's doing in between points is looking very forlorn and, listless and de-energised, I would say.
There's a lethargy about him at the moment as he hits his backhand down the middle, Novak Djokovic. But he's managed tennis matches like this so many times in his career, taken the punches from the opponent who's coming in and playing a lovely little carved forehand drop shot volley after dominating the baseline exchange. Kwon shows he's got touch to match, and there was a little bit of extravagance about the way he finished finished that particular rally. Crowd are warming to this guy and maybe even sensing an upset here.
I agree with you, David. I mean, that was extravagant. And also he's just really like a showman out here. He's the one that's actually playing the better tennis and the better finish on some of the rallies. You know, he's the one that's sort of giving them that moment to give the big applause, and maybe even a standing ovation is probably not too far away if he carries on the way he's going. But beautiful angle volley that finished that point off.
Annabel Croft here on 5 Live. The first centre court match of Wimbledon in 2022, and the defending champion Novak Djokovic is in a bit of trouble here. Big forehand winner down the line from Kwon. It is 1-all. It's 2 games all. There's no panic here from Djokovic, but he's just puffed his cheeks out as if to say, blimey, this is hard work. And his coach, Goran Ivanisevic, the champion of 21 years ago, who is always in his corner these days, is looking concerned.
Definitely. He's leaning forward in the box, so are the rest of the team up there, and they have reason to be concerned because this opponent is not going anywhere. Quite the opposite. He's raising his level and definitely playing the better tennis, and that's another missed opportunity. It seems as if it's just a lot of errors from Djokovic and then a lot of winners from Kwon, and that combination is not looking good for Djokovic at the moment. And he's actually behind in the match right now.
Yes.
By 1 point.
Yeah. 1-all, 2 games all. Djokovic serving, love 15. Serves out one onto the backhand, steps into a mid-court forehand, puts it down the line. Chance for the pass cross-court with the backhand from Kwon, but he's gone wide with it.
He's just not getting any free points, is he? I mean, normally against a much lower ranked opponent, when you're sort of locking down the way Djokovic can, you expect that opponent just to kind of trail off a bit and give you a few free points, but that isn't happening at all, and that is creating extra pressure all the time.
And just to give you an idea of how close this match is, and total points won isn't really relevant overall because it matters which points you win a lot of the times to win the games and the sets, but they've played 126 points and won 63 each.
Wow.
That's how close this match is.
And that's after an hour and a half of play, so that just shows you exactly how close it is. Certainly doesn't feel like we've got a person who was #1 for 373 weeks on the ATP rankings.
No. Drop shot Kwon, but this one hits the net as Djokovic races in to move to 40-15. Doesn't need to play the shot. It does feel as though Djokovic is just trying to keep his cool and not expend any excess energy at the moment.
Definitely. Looks to me like he's just going through the motions. There's no energy, there's no emotion. He's not erupting with anything. I think if he comes up with a fabulous point, we might see a bit more of something. But at the moment, he's not in the mood for this match.
I think that's very well put. He looks like he's not in the mood for it. Now, that may be ill health. We don't know. He's hit a serve down the centre that has just missed the centre service line. He also looks as if everything's going against him.
Exactly, even that call.
You know, God, I'm sick of this. I'm the best player in the world and the champion. Go away, you. Here's a little backhand drop shot volley by Kwon and another little backhand volley down the line. Djokovic is walking around as if he's absolutely fed up.
Well, even that attempt to get to that drop shot there, you know, he chased after it, but when he got there, he certainly didn't look as if he was going to chase back to get ready for the next shot. He just kind of like hit it and carried on moving in the wrong direction, and you know, the energy wasn't there in the legs to push off and get back in position. That's another telltale sign.
Set all, 2 games all. 40-30 Djokovic, serves that one into the forehand side. Now a forehand into the net by Djokovic. That's halfway up the net, and he's just wheeled away in our direction. And he looks all at sea at the moment.
Yeah, he didn't even backpedal quick enough with that good return of serve that was on the baseline. The footwork wasn't there. He was very late getting the racket back, and that's why when he swung at it, it was so late. And as you say, that ball landed halfway up the net. I mean, this is looking pretty serious right now. Danger signs.
2 games all, deuce, 1 set all. Djokovic has netted the first serve. Kwon quietly just leans forward, spins that fluorescent orange racket in his hands, hits his backhand down the centre, trying to set up break point here. Backhand chip down the centre from him. Djokovic with a forehand that just clears the net, comes in, plays a forehand volley, and it's into the bottom of the net by Djokovic, whose feet gave way underneath him just then. And he really looks like a man who doesn't know what his limbs are going to do next.
Yeah, and again, you know, it was a good approach as it was early on in this match. He's done that several times where he's made that decision to come forward, and then he's lunged at the next volley rather than those extra footsteps to get behind the ball. And now he's in trouble. And this is going to be very, very problematic if he goes down a break in this third set. Not getting first serves in either.
What is going on with the six-time champion Novak Djokovic right now? He's break point down. Kwon returns with a forehand, but it's long. That was a good serve by Djokovic. Just in the nick of time, he hit the centre service line, and it puffer chalk, and the guy couldn't get it back.
That was risky, wasn't it? That was the mind of a champion right there. 113 miles per hour, second serve on the line. That just tells you, you know, where his mind is at, just rolling the dice there.
Serve down the centre again by Djokovic. That serve keeping him in it, perhaps. Forehand cross-court from him. Lob lifted by Kwon. Will it go in? No, not quite. And Djokovic, a wry smile as if to say, finally, something goes my way.
Yeah, definitely. And almost extra injection of pace on that last forehand. A decision like, right, I'm fed up with this match now. I am going to start finding another gear. I need to ramp this up because this opponent is being a complete pest out here.
Forehand block return by Kwon. Game point Djokovic to take a 3-2 lead in this third set. One set all at the moment as he hits his backhand cross court. The man from Korea with a backhand chip cross court. Lovely backhand slice this guy's got. Really elegant shot as he knifes into the ball and drifts it over the net. And Djokovic with a forehand down the line now. Little chip into the net this time from Kwon. A good hold from Djokovic, who leads by 3-2. He sits down rather heavily. For Gigi, he does have the lead here in this third set. Set all and 3-2.
He does have the lead, but I think David and Annabelle, in the name of trying to get to know Kwon a little bit better, because who knows what might happen, have either of you ever watched the British edition of The Masked Singer?
I have suffered it once, yes.
I think I watched it once. Wasn't Pat Cash a masked singer once? I watched one of his.
He was, and also we've had Mark Philippoussis has been a masked singer, and Janina Wickmeyer has been a masked singer, as has Kwon in South Korea. He was student driver. His mask was the shape of a car, and he's got the dubious honour. He loves karaoke, Kwon. He's always talking about karaoke. He is the third person in the history, and it's called the King of Masks in South Korea. He's the third person in the history of the competition to score no points.
Nil point.
Nil point.
Really?
Not even one.
Oh
That's
dear.
a bit of a blow, isn't it?
Like zero.
It's a real shame.
So,
oh dear.
But it's good he's got tennis to fall back on.
Exactly. I feel very sad for him now.
Everyone needs a hobby, don't they?
Everyone needs a hobby and enjoys his hobby. We're going to nip to court one because we might be coming close to the end of a set there, and secondly, Mark Woodford, I know, is a massive fan of musicals. Am I right, Woody?
Hi, Gigi. How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
You're unfolding certain stories, yes?
Yeah, no, obviously, absolutely, on day one. Have you ever watched The Masked Singer? Could you see yourself being on something like The Masked Singer?
Well, I like to believe, my wife does say you're a master singer in the shower. Because I will hum a couple of tunes when I'm taking a shower. But I do love visiting West End here when I'm here at Wimbledon. And in fact, on Saturday, I'm hoping for an early finish so that I can take my daughter to a show.
Oh, which show's that are you planning on going to?
We're going to go to see Les Mis. I've seen it for like 30 plus times, but
wow.
she hasn't seen it for maybe 5 or 6 years. So that's where we're heading on Saturday.
If you get an early finish, if
you allow me, a kind with the scheduling, Gigi.
And I've been asked to ask you, what's your song of choice in the shower? This isn't my question.
Probably something from Starlight Express from years ago, right?
Right, no, lovely.
How come it's not being revived yet, Starlight Express?
I haven't. Well, you're better placed to tell me. I have no idea. I mean, maybe look. Everything has its moment and then comes back again. So you never know. It'll probably be back with us at some point, and you'll be first in line to see it. Tennis-wise,
I will be.
I'm being told got to talk tennis for a little bit. Naomi, how are things looking on court one?
Yes, it is 5-4 to Jan-Lennard Struff over Carlos Alcaraz. He did get the break, so he is serving. It's 15-all, but Carlos Alcaraz does have a habit of coming up with his best tennis really under pressure. He really does feel the moments well in matches, but he's just not had a breakthrough on the Jan-Lennard Struff serve. He's had 3 breakpoint opportunities, but it feels like he's just starting to settle, Woody. He's been quite frustrated in this match, don't you think?
Yeah, and there's another big first serve from Struff. Throws through the ball, toss up, and then caught it, wasn't in the right slot, but then bangs down a big serve, and he just can't build enough of a momentum to really apply pressure on Struff.
We're also on drop shot watch because Carlos Alcaraz really is known for his drop shots. He just ripped a beautiful inside-out forehand passing shot to get to 30-all. But we haven't seen any drop shots yet from Alcaraz. We've seen 1 or 2 from Struff, but I think possibly because Struff is always looking to come forward to the net, that there's just no opportunity.
Exactly. Struff is trying to play aggressive. He's staying close to that baseline and searching to get to net. And look, that was a great passing shot by Alcaraz. That's too good, but Struff is still coming forward on that 30-all point and a nice volley.
Yeah, another really good serve and volley. Serve out wide, simple backhand volley, just cushioning it soft cross court. And it is now set point to Struff, who is here ranked 158, the German. He has been in the top 30. He is a big threat on the grass, but coming back from injury, well, there's not really been much coming back. It's been generally losses. Goes with a big serve. It's an ace, and it is the first set of tennis to Jan-Lennard Struff. And I have to say, Woody's been clapping quite a lot of his tennis because it's been good grass court stuff. Serve and volley, lovely backhand slices, everything you want to see, unless you're Carlos Alcaraz, because he's down by 1-0, Gigi.
Thank you very much to you both. And it's been noted that Woody wants the early finish. It's a bit like Nadal at the French Open said, look, don't put me playing on Champions League Day because I am going to the Stade de France to watch Real Madrid against Liverpool. And it turned out he wasn't even playing on that day. So that's been noted. Back to centre court. No play on the outside courts until at least 3:45 as the rain continues to fall. But we're an hour and 42 minutes into this contest involving Novak Djokovic. And things, David, are moving on at quite a pace.
Yeah, but absolutely no sense yet as to which way it's going to end up going. I mean, the assumption is that the 6-time champion, Novak Djokovic, will figure it all out and win this match, as he would have been the overwhelming favourite to do. But the current scoreline is 1 set all, 3 games all in the third set, 30-15 on the Djokovic serve, and Kwon is swinging for the hills with some of these forehands and backhands. This one he's gone into the tramline with Annabelle, but he remains dangerous, and there's still no real sign of the real Novak Djokovic out here.
No, not at all. And he just needs to get another gear going. And I think his opponent is just looking increasingly dangerous, just the way he's just swinging at the ball and such beautiful ball striking. He looks so confident. But of course, that could change if he starts to really, really believe that he can win. If he did get a break in this set, would he start to suddenly feel nerves that we haven't seen in this match so far? But whatever, and regardless, he's certainly giving this crowd plenty to cheer about and admire in terms of what he's doing to Novak Djokovic, the former world number one.
Yeah, well, he is playing like a man, Kwon, with nothing to lose right here. And obviously there are things to lose. There's a match, there's prize money, all the rest of it. But this is a guy who comes into this tournament having never gone beyond the third round of any Grand Slam tournament before. He hasn't even gone beyond the second round of any tennis tournament since September last year. So that's 10 events. I mean, he's clearly a very good player, but he hasn't had any results recently to suggest that an upset was likely here.
No.
Novak Djokovic, of course, hasn't played an awful lot this year. I don't know whether that might be a factor. He hasn't played since that match you and I watched together when he played against Rafael Nadal at the French Open and lost in 4 sets. Didn't play any grass court warm-up tournament. I know he's done that before and won Wimbledon, but was that any sort of surprise to you?
Yeah, I guess it was actually. In the past he's come over and played Queens, hasn't he? Where he lost in the final that year to Marin Cilic. I think he had a match point in that particular final. But I'm surprised that he didn't. And also I wonder, David, that even though he's such a great champion, 20 Grand Slam titles, we know how hungry he is to end his career ahead of Nadal or any of his nearest rivals. Maybe that match at the French Open has taken its toll on his confidence. He really did everything he could and still came out second best in that match.
Forehand off the top of the net from Kwon with a chance to pass. Down the line he goes, and Djokovic does a full dive to his left to try to get the ball back over the net, but lands in a heap, and he only framed the ball into the floor, basically, and no winning shot at all. Couldn't get it over the net. And that was a heavy fall, actually, as he leapt to his left. So, 15-love Kwon here, 4-3 Djokovic. It's the third set. Djokovic won the first set 6-3, but even in that set he was 3-1 down at one stage. Kwon won the second, and it's really in the balance here as a double fault is struck by Kwon. And it is going to be interesting this next 10 minutes or so whether Kwon tightens at all.
Absolutely, and I sort of wonder with, you know, he's sustained such a high level for such a long period of time right now, and you would imagine with the ranking that he's got, the rankings don't usually lie in terms of where your level is at, so he's come out here swinging from the hip, but at some point you would think there would be a level drop, and I think that's what Novak Djokovic is hoping for here. Going to keep asking the questions and probably try and really keep the ball going, not too many unforced errors right now at this stage of the match, and there is a real unforced error right there from Kwon.
13.
Yeah, off the back foot, really driven backhand return down the middle by Djokovic, handcuffed Kwon at the far end of the court, and this could be a big moment right here. 15-30.
This line judge that's just in front of our commentary box, you can see he's sort of quite far into the court, not too far away from Novak Djokovic.
Could crowd him a little bit if he's not careful. Djokovic hits his forehand, chance to set up break points here for him. Forehand cross-court from Djokovic. Now he goes cross-court again, peppering that forehand side of Kwon, who's standing up to it well here. He whips his forehand cross-court, getting the better of the rally here, Kwon. Backhand cross-court from him, though, is into the net, and Djokovic has 2 break points.
Yeah, well, those were the types of rallies that Kwon was winning the majority of up until this moment. And you kind of sense, I don't know what the speeds are of the 2 strikes from the back of the court, but certainly when they get into those exchanges, it almost feels like Kwon has the bigger strike, doesn't it, the way he's hitting the ball. His ball is definitely doing a bit more damage than Djokovic's, even though he's handed across that unforced error.
And it is Djokovic with the 2 break points for a 5-3 lead here in the third set. Day 1 of Wimbledon, here on 5 Live. Novak Djokovic, the defending champion, trying to see off this pesky man from Korea who's causing him all sorts of trouble. It's a forehand down the line by Kwon, but Djokovic is in charge here. Backhand cross-court from him. Into the net goes Kwon. Djokovic has the break. No celebration whatsoever from Djokovic, just to sort of walk around the back of the court, as if to say, get me off this court with a win as quickly as possible, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a clever shift forward, because he's done that a few times and got burnt. But that time, asking that question by coming forward, seeing if Kwon could come up with a passing shot down break point, and that ball hit the net. And those little moves and that kind of tactic from Djokovic really paid off there. So he's starting to gain control of this match, but it's taken an hour and 48 minutes.
Do you get the sense that Djokovic is guiding the ball around though at the moment, rather than really unleashing on it? And there's a lack of conviction and confidence about him generally. Good first serve though from him, gets an error on the backhand side from Kwon, which drifts long. 15-love Djokovic, ace for 30-love. Only 2 matches currently in play because of the rain here at Wimbledon today, which was not on the weather forecast I saw earlier. I think I need a new app.
I think I do too.
I got caught in it.
And I didn't bring an umbrella today.
Neither did I. So early rust for Novak Djokovic, early rust for Annabelle and myself as well. We're going to sort that out. And Djokovic with a good first serve to get to 40-love. And after an hour and 49 minutes, Djokovic has a point to lead by 2-1. Emma Raducanu to follow on centre court after this match.
Yeah, she must be just starting to get a little bit extra nervous, don't you think? Because if he does get this set, you would imagine that Djokovic, if he kind of really pulls himself together, it would just be 1 set to play, and she would have to start her warm-ups now backstage.
Yeah. And her opponent is a very, very good one in Alison van Uytvanck of Belgium, as Djokovic goes long with a forehand. Andy Murray is in action after Raducanu's match finishes. Andy Murray's going to be taking on James Duckworth, a very good player from Australia. Set point Djokovic for 2-1. Ace down the middle. And he pats the ball away. And he's just walking back to his chair. We have not seen a fist pump, a celebration, a roar, or any other sort of positive emotion from Novak Djokovic in this entire match, Gigi. But it is a match he leads by 2-1.
Yeah, it is. And as you say, it's just looking a little bit better for him. Now we're back on centre court very shortly. No play before at least 3:45 on the outside court. So we've got the order of play for Tuesday on centre and number 1 court. And names to be listening out for tomorrow, opening things up, will be world number 1 Iga Świątek, looking to extend her unbeaten run of 35 matches. Be followed by Rafa Nadal, winner of the first 2 majors of the year. And then it'll be Serena Williams. And your names for court 1, Matteo Berrettini, last year's finalist, winner at Queen's in Stuttgart. Simona Halep, who didn't have the opportunity to open up after the defence when we didn't have a Wimbledon, then she was injured. And then Stefanos Tsitsipas. Plenty of tennis still to come today, especially because we've had the delay due to the rain. We're going to get some cricket reaction in a short while, but now with the time just gone 3:30, let's get some news with Richard Foster.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Firefighters in Birmingham have found the body of a woman who died after a gas explosion last night. It destroyed a building and damaged several others in the King's Standing area. A man has life-threatening injuries after being pulled from the rubble. Leaders of the G7 industrialised nations say they're committed to supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes. They promise military and humanitarian aid and tighter sanctions against Moscow. The government wants barristers in England and Wales to accept a proposed pay increase of 15% and to end their strike over legal aid funding. The Criminal Bar Association says the offer would only apply to cases from 2023 onwards. And households could get discounts on electricity bills if they use less energy at peak times. National Grid hopes that people can save cash if they avoid doing things like cooking or charging electric cars when demand is high.
Jill Scott's Coffee Club.
Hiya, I'm Jill Scott, England midfielder, coffee obsessive and dressing room joker.
We're going to be chatting to some of the biggest names in women's football over a cup of coffee.
Just like after football, like I feel like I want to be a DJ in Ibiza. I get dead nervous, like connecting to the Bluetooth.
Do you think you've got the skills? Like, I mean,
No, I don't think she does.
No, I don't.
Have you been to Ibiza before?
Yeah, I used to go every year with my nan and granddad, obviously.
Jill Scott's Coffee Club. The full box set available now. Listen on BBC Sounds using your smart speaker. Wimbledon 2022 with Gigi Salmon and Tony Livesey on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Day 1 of the championships, and it feels like the sky under the roof is getting just a little bit lighter. And British number 1 Cameron Nori will be hoping so. 9th seed here. He was 2 points away from the win when the rain came. But we've got action with Carlos Alcaraz, the 5th seed, and Novak Djokovic, the top seed, because we have the roofs, and we're hoping in around 20 minutes' time we'll get play on the outside courts. In the meantime, let's get some cricket reaction, because England have beaten New Zealand by 7 wickets on the final day of the 3rd test at Headingley to seal a 3-0 series win. I'm very happy to say that Eleanor Aldroyd joins me now. And Ellie, listening to you when you were wrapping up the match today, you could hear the excitement in your voice, especially as you were saying this is a completely different new look England.
Well, it just feels like things have turned around so quickly really here, Gigi, because I was in Australia for the entirety of the Ashes series, which England lost 4-0 and should probably have lost 5-0 actually. Just a bit of rain at Sydney meant that they drew that test match, and we actually celebrated in a very low-key way that night the draw in Sydney. Then they went to the West Indies, they lost the final test there, so they lost the series. They'd only won 1 test match out of 17 before the start of this summer, but in just under a month, so starting on the 2nd of June, finishing now on the 27th of June, they've won 3 test matches. They've turned their fortunes around. They have 3 times in a row chased down targets of 275 plus, which is really difficult to do. And they did it here in just an hour and 5 minutes, basically. So no time at all. We had rain in the morning, so they didn't get started till 1:30. They needed 113 more to win. New Zealand needed 8 wickets to win. New Zealand took one of those wickets, Ollie Pope. That was in the a first over, and at that point you thought, well, England could just melt down here, because that's the sort of default thinking that we have, but that's not the default thinking that Brendan McCullum, Ben Stokes and this England team have, because Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root just knocked off the runs in no time at all. 15 overs and 2 balls they did it in, and the crowd got to watch a bit of big hitting from England, the presentation, and now they've all gone home happy.
Well, you mentioned him there, so let's get some reaction from Captain Ben Stokes.
Yeah, no, good day, wasn't it? Good series. Yeah, really happy.
How have you won that from 56 for 6?
Because, I don't know, we said we were going out and play a certain way regardless of the situation, and it worked for us. You know, it's amazing what a change of mindset towards the game can do for everybody in the dressing room. And I think one thing I said after that day with Jamie and Johnny playing is that don't underestimate the rub-off that our mentality and the way that we're speaking in the dressing room is going to have onto people, not just the guys in the dressing room at the moment, but guys who come in later. For a guy to go out and play like that on debut, I think sends a huge message to anybody wanting to get into this Test team at the moment.
All the cricket you've played and watched, Johnny Bairstow at the moment is just playing on a different level, isn't he?
Yeah, honestly, and I think you look at the way Johnny's white ball career's gone. You know, he goes out there and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's very clinical in his decision making, the way that he wants to play, and I think the way that we're operating at the moment and everything that we want to do is just giving him that clarity in the way that he wants to play. At the moment, he's literally playing like he's playing one-day cricket, and it's unbelievable to watch. You know, Trent Bridge again, the innings he played was amazing, but personally I think his 100 here was even better than that because of the situation that he found himself in. But it's incredible to watch at the moment, Johnny, so long may it can continue.
Have you sat him down and sort of told him what you want to do, or made it clear that he's embraced by the team? I mean, what have you done?
It's funny actually, because I've never seen someone ask the coach after getting 130 off 90 balls what he should go and do. So I think Baz just said, Johnny, come sit next to me and do your Sudokus, mate. And then when I came out to bat with him, I just went to do another Trent Bridge. And he was like, OK. So, yeah, it's pretty simple.
And Jack Leach as well. Again, you just see, I don't know, the arms being wrapped around him, really embraced by the team.
Yeah, when I took over this job, it was more than results for me. It was about the change of mindset that I want my group of players to be having towards Test cricket. You know, we want people to feel, the love for the game. You know, I'm not 100% sure if it has been lost, but honestly, over these last 3 games, I couldn't have asked for anything more. You know, we, as I said, coming into the series, I want us to be entertainers this week, and we certainly have done that.
He's up there now getting his Man of the Match award. That's big for Jack.
It's huge, and sometimes bowling can get overlooked by batting, especially in the manner that we've operated. But for someone like Jack to come here at Headingley, where it's not renowned for spinners taking wickets, to get 10 for in the way that he did, even the overs that he bowled and the responsibility I put on his shoulders to come on into the game early, it was fantastic to see, and I'm just seeing him grow as a bowler and also grow as a character as well.
England captain Ben Stokes with our correspondent Jonathan Agnew. And Ellie, it's understandable that our focus is England, but it is quite remarkable for New Zealand to be beaten like this, thinking and remembering that they are the World Test champions.
Yeah, exactly. It's just over a year since they beat India in the World Test Championship final down in Southampton. I think their bowlers have always been their great strength. Trent Boult, Tim Southey, Neil Wagner and Matt Henry, but they've not really performed here. The ball has not helped them, actually, because they get a lot of swing normally out of the Duke's ball, but these Duke's balls are not really swinging, and they probably failed by not picking a specialist spinner in this Test match. We just heard what Jack Leach did. So New Zealand will be feeling a bit crushed, but they also missed Kyle Jamieson, the all-rounder, who was injured for this game as well.
And Ben Stokes was talking about his way of captaining and what's important to him, and someone who is reacting to that is the player of the match, Jack Leach.
Yeah, he's just surrounded by love, Jack Leach, at the moment, from his captain, from the whole of the team, by the fans here at Headingley as well. This is a special place for him because, of course, 2019, he shared that famous stand with Ben Stokes to win that Test match in the most unlikely of fashions. But yeah, he's finally being celebrated for his bowling and not for his run of bad luck as well, because he has Crohn's disease. He had the whole of the summer of the England bubble in 2020 without playing a single game. And then he got concussed in the first Test at Lord's. So finally, Jack Leach's luck has turned, as has England's.
Ali, thank you very much. It's always good to be surrounded by love. A couple of other lines to bring you, but we have Russell Fuller break points on centre court.
For Kwon Soon-woo of South Korea, with Novak Djokovic, who had a break point of his own in the opening game of this fourth set and leads by 2-1, 15-40 down serving and volleying, and it's a chipped high forehand return wide by Kwon. So Djokovic saves the first of 2 break points against him. Annabel Croft alongside me, intrigued by this match and frustrated for Novak Djokovic, aren't you? Because he just doesn't seem to be able to pull it all together. He is struggling. Whether he is unwell, we will find out a little bit later perhaps, but certainly lethargic as he misses his first serve. Break point down for a second time.
Yeah, interesting to see him resort to the serve volley on that previous point, and that says that he really wanted to bring down the hammer and try and really get things going in a quick point. But you're right, he's just
into the net with a forehand on the second serve too from Kwon, and it's deuce.
Oh, that's a free point there, right there, and there have not been any of those. He's really had to earn his points, dig deep in this match, and it's been quite a tussle. And that was a big moment there for Kwon. There's not been too many of those.
So break points to both players in this fourth set. Kwon saving it in the last game, wrapping up the game with a very nice volley. Can Djokovic do something similar here? His forehand cross-court is a wild one though, Djokovic. So reliable from the baseline usually, but that is another error. And it's a third break point of this game for the 24-year-old from South Korea, the world number 81, Kwon Soon-woo.
Well, yet more powerful ground strokes coming out of Kwon's racket, and they are out-hitting Novak Djokovic and just taking time away and rushing him as well. He's not used to being rushed the way he is today.
Break point number 3, and he saved it with an ace, Djokovic. He continues the run-through, planning to serve and volley perhaps.
Yeah, definitely on the move forward again, and that might be just helping that serve as well, because he's not getting as many free points off his first serve and also missing quite a few first serves. So the fact that he's trying to go after the ball and come forward just may be helping that as well. That last one was a big one, 125 miles per hour. He's been in a strange mood, hasn't he? He's hardly looked across at the camp. He's just kind of had his head down. He's looked very listless and sort of, yeah, just not himself.
Very passive for much of this match. Brighter in the first set. Fought back from a breakdown to win that set. Forehand cross-court volley from Kwon. The lob from Djokovic is a winner.
And finally a fist pump as well. I think he enjoyed that one. Not a very energised fist pump, but a fist pump nevertheless.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Almost didn't have enough energy for it.
At last, some emotion. He gets criticised at times for being overly emotional on court. We've seen him get into a lot of trouble, particularly at the US Open with the default when he fired that ball away without looking and it hit the lines judge on the neck. But it's about getting the balance right for Djokovic, and it's not been quite right today. Forehand from Kwon hit very, very hard at the Djokovic backhand. He absorbs that well. Cross-court with the forehand goes Djokovic. He has a point for 1-all. Excellent defence here from Djokovic. The drop shot into the net from Kwon. And it's 1-all. So break points both ways. 1 saved by Kwon, 3 by Djokovic. 1-all with Djokovic leading by 2-1.
We'll be back with Russell and Annabel very shortly. Just to round up the cricket for you, in the women's test match, South Africa are 187 for 6, with England yet to bat in Taunton. That is on Sports Extra. And just a reminder for you that the sport keeps coming this summer on 5 Live and BBC Sounds as the Women's Euros gets underway. That's from Wednesday the 6th of July, so not long now. We'll have commentary throughout the tournament, plus from Monday the 4th, the Football Daily changes to the Daily Euros, which will keep you right across all of the action. So at the moment we've got 2 courts in action. Because of the rain, we hope we'll get play everywhere very shortly. So let's cross to court 1, where the 5th seed from Spain is in action and is being watched by Mark Woodford and Naomi Cavaday.
Yes, and he looks a little bit more settled in set number 2. Things have been going along, I think, fairly steadily between the two of them. It's now 3-all in the second set. Jan Struff won the opener 6-4. And would you just tell us a little more about Carlos Alcaraz? I mean, the hype is real with what he's been able to achieve, winning multiple Masters events. He beat Djokovic and Nadal back-to-back days on clay in a Masters event in Madrid. Never been done before. He's just turned 19 years old, and his attitude on the court, the professionals, the professionalism, everything that goes with him is just world class.
It is. It's pretty heady stuff when you look back at his bio and the people, the quality that he has beaten this season. And look, it's all happened on hard courts. It's happened on the clay courts. Grass, we haven't yet to see him really challenge Struff. He's picked up a couple of break opportunities, but he hasn't been able to, get involved in the point. Those break opportunities have been just wiped away from the German, who continues to search for the net.
He's got a fabulous attitude. He is great fun to watch. He really is a shot maker. There's so many influences from the big three. There are a lot of comparisons between him and Nadal, but he is his own person, and many people have said he's going to push the game on to new levels. So we'll see what he can achieve here in these fortnight.
Thank you very much to Naomi and Woody. We'll be back with them as that match continues to unfold. We'll let you know when there is play elsewhere with Cameron Nori, the 9th seed here, the British #1, 2 points away from the match. And I'm hearing that the covers are coming off, so fingers crossed we'll get play underway very shortly. And if you were listening earlier when we had Jody Burrage with us, the British player who lost today, she was explaining why she was feeding Percy pigs to a ball boy. He was taken ill. She hoped he was okay, and we are hearing from the All England club that the youngster is fine. So fine's not amazing, but it's fine. So we're going to take the fine and that the Percy pigs did their job. So we'll keep you across on everything that takes place. Don't forget, still to come on centre court, Emma Raducanu in her first round match. And then will also be followed by Andy Murray. So plenty of tennis still to come on day one of the championships. But for now, you've heard time being called, so it's the perfect time to rejoin Annabelle and Russell.
A fine time to rejoin us. 2-1 in favour of Kwon Soon-woo, who held to love in that last game after the scattering of break points for both players in the opening couple of games of this fourth set. 5 Live at Wimbledon, opening day of the championships. Frustrating that we don't have unbroken play on the outside courts. A similar story last year, actually, where they didn't start on the outside courts before 3:30 in the afternoon because of some fairly heavy rain. Hopefully that's the last of the rain for the day, and the next 4 or 5 hours here on 5 Live will be spectacular, with so many great matches to be played, so many British players still to start their first round matches. Jody Burrage, the first player to have completed her match, losing to Lesia Tsurenko in straight sets after what for her has been a fabulous 4 weeks in terms of tour life, earning a lot of ranking points, but didn't have enough left in the tank to deal with Tsurenko today. Djokovic is serving from the roller end, which means that the South Korean Kwon Soon-woo is in front of us and in front of the royal box, and he's missing with a backhand here, and Djokovic moves to 15 love.
They've sort of played this match, Russell, under very many different lights on the court, haven't they? Because, we've had some dark, gloomy skies overhead with the roof on. Now it's brightened up again, and the light keeps changing. And I'm not saying there's actual lights switched on, because there aren't, but because of the roof being on and what's happening outside with that sort of horrible rain, then went really, really dark and gloomy. But I wonder how much that does change the conditions inside. It'd be interesting to know.
Chipped forehand return by Kwon with Djokovic at 30 love. Forehand cross-court from the 6-time champion. Too good for Kwon, who puts a forehand into the net. And now Djokovic looks like he's going to hold serve very convincingly and level things up at 2 games all. I imagine if that is the last of the rain, and I've not seen a radar for a while, then Emma Raducanu against Alison van Uytvanck will be played with the roof open. That would certainly be the intention of the All England club. It's an outdoor championships after all, when it possibly can be. Second serve here for Djokovic, serving towards our commentary box into the body of Kwon, who rather shanks a forehand. And it's a love hold for a man trying to win a 7th title and trying to avoid the fate of Manolo Santana in 1967 and Leighton Hewitt in 2003, the only defending men's champions to have lost in the first round as they begin their title defence. It would seem still, surely, highly improbable that that is the outcome. After all, this is a man who's won 20 Grand Slam titles and has not lost in the first round of a slam for 16.5 years. But for the moment, Kwon Soon-woo is very much in this match, trailing 2-1, but level at 2 games all. From Sangju in South Korea, which we're told is famous for dried persimmons. I'm not sure I've ever eaten a persimmon,
No, I
knowingly.
haven't either. It sounds nicer, doesn't it? It sounds exotic.
It is exotic. But what does it taste like?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe a bit sort of spicy, I don't know.
Well, I'll give you my favourite description in just a moment, having done a little bit of very brief research before we came on air, Annabelle. Here's the backhand from Kwon cross-court. The backhand from Djokovic is drilled down the line. The high forehand is landing just wide by Kwon, so Djokovic wins that point. One particular website, suggesting various recipes, described it as a fabulous fruity love child of a mango and a roasted sweet pepper.
Oh. Interesting.
Fancy making a crumble for us?
I love crumble.
Sounds like a nice middle Sunday tradition, and then we remember there is no middle Sunday off anymore as Kwon slices the backhand into the net.
Crumble's actually my favourite pudding.
It would be right at the top of my list as well.
Yeah. Custard or cream?
Custard.
Yeah, I think I might be the same. It's a window of opportunity here for Djokovic. I just sense, Russell, that he's just starting to pick up that energy and just trying to finish this match off.
Love 30 he has on the Kwon serve, and it's a lovely return by Djokovic, and the half volley from Kwon hits the tape, and these are 3 break points now for a 3-2 fourth set lead for the defending champion.
Just seems a little bit more alert to everything, Djokovic, doesn't he? He's sort of like, his takeoff looks more agile and ready to pounce on things a little bit more than he has been in this match.
Love 40 down. And Kwon missing the first serve. What a thrill for him to be here, playing in the opening match on centre court against the champion. Forehand from Djokovic, slice backhand from Kwon. Djokovic lifts the forehand to the backhand of Kwon. Djokovic with the forehand, Kwon with the backhand. Djokovic's forehand. Kwon will now cross-court his forehand. Forehand from Kwon. Djokovic brushing the tape. The forehand is good, but the error comes from Kwon on the forehand side. Djokovic apologises, and Djokovic has the break, but he's been losing his serve more than he would like, so he's not over the line yet. But 2-1, 3-2 with the break after 2 hours and 12 minutes sounds a lot more comfortable, Gigi.
Can I throw in ice cream with crumble, or is that a bit controversial?
Yes.
As well as the custard?
Yum.
No, not as well as.
3.
No,
cream
really?
ice cream.
I think that's a little bit much. That little bit much? I don't know.
Have you ever had a persimmon?
The way you said it sounds not knowingly, as in maybe I had it in a fruit salad somewhere exotic. I haven't. But it sounded, what is it? A love child of a what? A mango and a sweet pepper?
Of a mango and a roasted sweet pepper.
Interesting.
I'm sure someone's going to get in touch. Actually, Naomi Cavaday, Mark Woodford, where do we start? What do you put on a crumble, and have you had a persimmon?
What do you put in a crumble? Well, I had a lovely...
What do you have with a crumble? Custard cream or ice cream?
Yeah. I was going to say. Oh, I mean, it depends on the temperature outside, doesn't it, really? Let's be honest. But, yeah. Ice cream, if it's a nice day.
Lovely. What's a crumble?
Oh, no. OK, let's get a crumble, please, to court 1. Start with
like
apple.
an apple crumble?
Yes, apple crumble.
Okay. Not a violet crumble that we have in Australia.
I don't know what that is.
No?
What's that?
Oh, my goodness.
Ice cream, I think. You got to have a nice piping hot crumble.
A violet crumble is honeycomb with chocolate around the outside of it. It's
not a crumble. That's
No,
not a crumble.
It's not a cake. No.
That's not a crumble. How's the tennis looking?
Well, the tennis, again, this second set has just been chugging along, but Alcaraz he's been under pressure. He was down break point in his previous service game. He's now 4-3 up. We're still on serve in this second set. But Struff is not really flinching. He keeps coming forward. He's being easily the more aggressive player out here, isn't he, Woody? And I think you were saying that you're maybe wanting a little more of that from Alcaraz.
Yeah, exactly. If someone's beating you to net, then the way to diffuse it is actually get there before they do, and I'm just not seeing that from Alcaraz. There's a missed return off of a second serve. It was a key pointer at deuce. It's just at the moment he is content to actually try and win this match from the baseline, which is his default mode, way of playing, and that's why he's also inside the top 10.
Well, Struff is really just slamming down these serves, coming forward with simple volleys. Oh, it's a lovely little lob from Alcaraz, but he misses the follow-up volley. And he's not quite been at 100%, has Alcaraz. It's now 4-all in the second set. We've seen a lot of missed returns from him. And that's it. It's a set to Jan-Lennard Struff with the world number 158, and it's 4-all, Gigi.
A lot of chat on our group WhatsApp. The violet crumble is effectively a crunchy. You know, like a crunchy bar.
It is. Very much like a crunchy.
Yeah. Although Laura Robson says that a violet crumble is better than a crunchy.
It is way better. Well, you know, Laura...
Sounds like exactly the same thing.
No, it's not. Okay. We'll have to put them side by side. We will... I'll try to find an Australian shop here that sells both the crunchy and the violet crumble, and I will bring them to you, Gigi.
Mark Woodford, for that, you can have an early finish on Saturday. In the meantime, it's back to centre court where there is Russell a round of applause.
For a smash winner by the champion, Novak Djokovic holds the love. He leads by 4-2, 2 games away from the second round where he would play either the Australian Open doubles champion, Thanasi Kokkinakis, who won that title so spectacularly with Nick Kyrgios, or Kamil Majchrzak of Poland, who are certainly yet to complete their match with events on the outside courts on hold for the moment as it gets brighter and brighter, and we're hoping for a resumption before long as Djokovic nets and Kwon wins the first point of the game.
I just noticed the line judges' outfits, Russell. They look incredibly smart, don't they? They've got these sort of striped shirts and white trousers.
Redesigned for the year. Forehand from Djokovic into the net. Rueful look on his face, just gently slaps his right thigh. And you like the redesign of the umpire's chair as well?
Well, it's a bit different, isn't it? It's sort of a modern version of what was sort of green umpire's chair. It definitely doesn't look like the sort of more traditional one with the wood. It looks, I don't know what it's made out of, but it just looks different.
Into the net with a forehand, Djokovic. It's quite difficult to describe, isn't it?
Futuristic, actually, isn't
That's
it?
the word for it, I think. It's got centre court 100 around the base, a nod to the centenary of centre court. There's space for some towels underneath the umpire's chair. There's a little parasol for the umpire, which I don't think we had before. A drop shot winner from Kwon. And it's green, as you would expect.
But actually, if there's sort of holes through the middle of it, but if there weren't holes, it would look like a Dalek, wouldn't it?
That's exactly what it looks like. A Dalek.
Yes.
Brilliant.
I was trying to work out what that shape was, but it's like a Dalek.
A very well-behaved Dalek so far.
Yeah.
40-15 Kwon. 2-4 down, forehand reply into the net from Djokovic. Kwon holds, but still a break of serve down at 4-3 in the fourth set as Djokovic walks fairly emotionlessly towards his chair. But he looks like he's going to get the job done, Annabelle, and that's a good start given he hasn't played a match for 3.5 weeks, and assuming he's not affected in a significant way by any illness, and we're purely speculating because he has looked a little bit listless at times, then he's up and running and he's got a good draw. He's not in the same half of the draw as Rafael Nadal, they're the top 2 seeds, or as Matteo Berrettini, and he's avoiding the likes of Stefanos Tsitsipas and Felix Auger-Aliassime as well, who could be dangerous. Hubert Hurkacz is perhaps his biggest threat in this half of the draw, but last year's semi-finalist is 2 sets down and 5-all in the third set with Alejandro Davidovich Fokina.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the thing is, he's going to have to bring his level up quite substantially from where he's at today, isn't he? If he's going to win these championships again and retain his title, I just feel like he's starting at quite a low base. But then it's often difficult to judge players in their first rounds. You know, they do just build levels as they go throughout the tournament. But there's a couple of names in there that I think could be problematic. Kokkinakis, I think.
Kokkinakis in the second round could be interesting.
Yeah,
He'd feel like he could play with real freedom, Kokkinakis.
Yeah, Kecmanovic has been doing quite well on the tour recently.
I think it's tough for other Serbs, isn't it? As it is for other Spaniards against Rafa.
Yeah. I think you're right, though. I think on the whole it is a pretty decent draw, isn't it? I feel like there might be another twist in this tale, to be honest.
In this particular match, well, let's see. 2 service holds away, Novak Djokovic now at 4-3 in the 4th set here on 5 Live on the BBC Sounds app. There will be a bit of a gap between matches on centre court, as there was last year for the first time. Short ball, Djokovic in towards the net, and his forehand is good enough. A miscue from Kwon sends it skimming around the net post, bouncing, scuttling low. No danger of a spectacular winner from his racket on that occasion. Djokovic of 15 love to the forehand of Kwon, which is into the net.
Yeah, he's starting to serve a lot better. I think that was quite problematic through the middle part of this match, where he just wasn't getting enough first serves in, not enough free points, having to work harder behind the second serve, and now just getting a bit more free-flowing. There's another ace right there. There's been absolutely no emotion, has there, throughout the course of this match? That one fist pump, that was it. The rest of it just head down, not really showing anything.
Into the net with a forehand from Kwon. Love hold by Djokovic. 5-3 now. 1 game away from another first round victory at Wimbledon on his 17th consecutive appearance at the Championships.
And it will be so interesting if he gets through this match, Russell, just to hear his own thoughts about where he was at. You know, is he suffering from a cold? He's been blowing his nose at the changes of ends. Poured that water bottle over his head at one point. Just wonder how he's feeling. It'd be interesting to find out.
So Kwon is serving to stay in the match now. Serving for the raw box end onto the backhand of Djokovic. Kwon slices his backhand down the line. Djokovic with the forehand long.
Well, that sailed off the strings of Novak Djokovic. Had no work on that ball. There was no rotation on it. Just really took off.
.15 love, Kwon. Good serve, backhand reply from Djokovic just over the baseline. Picked up on the half volley by Kwon, just in case. Tony Livesey making his way back into the box. Quite tempted to change. Oh, we're going to have to replay the point, because that was actually judged to have caught the back of the line.
Well, it's quite an epic journey to get up here.
It's quite a steep flight of stairs, a fixed metal staircase, virtually vertical, and also a new code to get into the commentary box, to keep those we don't want here outside. But it's a little bit stiff as it's brand new, and it's quite a effort required to actually force open the door.
Yeah, and even more of an effort if you're carrying a cup of tea,
which
you can't
I believe
work out
Tony
how to
may have
do
been
that.
doing. That's long from Djokovic, so Kwon to 30 love. And we also have the temptation, perhaps, of changing the security code at some point.
Ah, oh, that's interesting.
There's anybody we don't want to let back into the box.
Okay, and I have hit my head, and so has Tony, twice when I've made my way into this booth. That's how low the door is.
It's keeping us on our toes, a little bit of a workout.
Just knocking some sense into us.
Otherwise, you can spend a lot of time in a sedentary position during Wimbledon.
That's very true.
30-15, Kwon. Bends the knees, serves now, down the middle. Forehand reply from Djokovic. Drop shot from Kwon, cross court. Djokovic chasing after this one, but Kwon has the open court, and he finds it with a backhand. And he looks like he's going to get another sit down. He looks like he's going to be able to extend his stay on this centre court, because these are 2 game points for 4-5.
Well, another wonderful drop shot, such feel and such angle, and a really impressive finish.
Kwon serves into the net. Second serve from him now. Backhand reply from Djokovic. He went aggressively after that. The half volley from Djokovic worked into the corner with a forehand cross court, and the lob is just wide by Kwon. Nice, aggressive looking point there from Djokovic.
Yeah, he really stamped his authority on that one, and took the return early. Had already made the decision to come forward, took the time away and rushed his opponent there. I think he would love to finish off this match if he could on this return game, rather than be forced to serve it out.
First serve missed by Kwon at 40-30. Second serve from him now to the backhand of Djokovic, and that is long. And Kwon does hold, and he lives to fight another day with Djokovic leading by 5-4. A reminder that it's Emma Raducanu, her first match at Wimbledon since winning the US Open against Alison van Uytvanck. That match will start, or the players will walk onto court around about 20 minutes after this match finishes. And then it's Andy Murray against James Duckworth, he of 9 operations on feet, shoulders, elbows and hips. But he's still going strong. He's not actually won a match since his hip operation in January, James Duckworth. So Andy Murray, who we think is fully recovered from his abdomen issue, will very much start the favourite in that match. Let's go to court 1, find out how Carlos Alcaraz is getting on. Is he fighting back in his first round match? Naomi.
He is trying, Russell, but Struff is just so resilient on serve. Carlos Alcaraz just had a set point on the Struff serve, but it was snuffed out with an unreturnable right into the body, and now it's a game point for Struff. He trails 5-4 in this second set, but it's his advantage on serve. And he won the opening set 6-4, but it does feel like if Alcaraz can just make a breakthrough, he might be able to really stretch away and get a motor on. But as it stands, it's still on serve here in set number 2.
Remember, when play resumes on the outside courts, Cameron Nori is just 2 points away from victory. 5-3 and at deuce in the third set against Pablo Andujar of Spain. Jody Burrage beaten, and as well as Raducanu and Murray. A little bit later in the day, there'll be Heather Watson, there'll be Ryan Peniston, who's made 4 quarterfinals on the grass over the past 4 weeks. Jay Clark and Katie Swan, and Lily Miyazaki as well, playing her first Wimbledon since becoming a British citizen. In fact, her first Wimbledon full stop, but she's playing under the British flag as of March. Novak Djokovic then, chasing a 7th title at Wimbledon, 2-1 up, 5-4, 15 love, missing with a first serve as he tries to get his 80th Wimbledon win. Forehand reply from Kwon to the serve is just a little bit wide, and now Djokovic looks in complete control again. There's not much of a response from him, but you sense that's because he feels that this is nearly wrapped up. 2 hours and 27 minutes on court, so he dropped a set, but it's still been a fairly pacey match, as is often the case on grass with quicker points. Djokovic needing just 2 more of those to win the match. It's a good serve, and the forehand reply from Kwon is long. And so 3 match points to the champion. Djokovic serves, and serves an ace on the first of his match points. Djokovic wins in 4 sets as he begins his hunt for a 7th Wimbledon title. Let's go to court 2, where Cameron Nori has a match point. Jonathan.
Absolutely, he does. Leading 5-3 in the third set. I thought these 2 matches were going to finish simultaneously, but here is Nori just moments after Djokovic gets the job done on centre court, trying to seal the deal on court 2. Down the line with the forehand from him. Then the left-hander leans into a backhand. Andujar's into the net. The passing forehand winner from Cameron Nori takes him into the second round of Wimbledon. It's a straight sets victory over Pablo Andujar. And Nori, who's never been beyond the third round of a Grand Slam, may just feel, as the sun comes out once more here at SW19, that this is his time to take that next step. 1 round at a time, though, Jeff Tarango. He's into the second round. Job done. And the crowd really warming to him, and enjoyed that final flourish.
Yeah, he came back there to break, to win the match, which is an important confidence builder. His backhand down the line starting to look better. He's still got to improve that as he goes on in this tournament if he wants to go deep. But it's really looking like a nice Connors backhand down the line, and his cross court very effective. His backhand much more effective than his forehand today.
There's the cheer for Pablo Andujar as he leaves, but it's Cam Nori through to the second round, where he'll play Thiago Monteiro or Jaime Muna. It could be another Spaniard for the British number 1. Russell.
Excellent start from Cameron Nori. No fuss, a couple of rain delays, particularly one of great frustration as he was just 2 points away from victory at the time. But no harm done in the long term, so Cameron Nori is through. Novak Djokovic is through as well, having beaten Kwon Soon-woo in 4 sets, and he is going to talk to Lee Mackenzie on centre court in just a moment. So that's one of the traditions from last year that is here to stay. We have interviews not just on centre and number 1 courts, but on number 2 court and number 3 court as well. Emma Raducanu will be out in just under 20 minutes for her first match here as a Grand Slam champion against Alison van Uytvanck. And then it's Andy Murray against James Duckworth to round off the centre court programme, which, because of the slightly later start and the gap between matches, is going to guarantee some early evening entertainment on this famous court. Here is Novak Djokovic
back on centre court here at Wimbledon with a victory as the defending champion. It might have taken a little longer than you hoped, but normal service has been resumed. How good does it feel to be back?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. I've said this a few times before, but this court is truly special for me. It has always been the court where I dreamed of playing and winning. All my dreams, childhood dreams, came true here in this court, in this tournament. So, of course, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to come back to the centre court of Wimbledon.
And it was a really entertaining opening match as well. Soon-woo Kwon didn't really let you get into a rhythm at times. He played some incredible tennis out there.
Well, credit to Kwon for playing some really high-quality tennis. He deserves an applause, definitely. You know, always starting the tournament, you know, I didn't have any lead-up tournaments, preparation tournaments or matches prior to Wimbledon, so you're always going to feel a little bit probably less comfortable than you would like to at the beginning, particularly if you're playing against somebody as talented as Kwon, who, you know, stays close to the line and hits very clean from forehand and backhand side. Yeah, it was really difficult to go through him, so I had to figure out a way tactically to you know, get in control of the point. It wasn't easy. I had to put a lot of variety in the game. I think serve helped. I faced a break point in the 3rd set that really, if he broke my serve, it could have really gone in a different way this match. But you know, at this level, 1 or 2 points, 1 or 2 shots decide the winner. And I'm glad that I was on the winning side today. And I want to thank you all for coming out and supporting both players today. Thank you so much.
Well, Novak, you were on the winning side. That is actually your 80th match win here at Wimbledon, which means that you are the only player in the history of tennis, male or female, to win 80 matches at all 4 Grand Slams. That is an incredible record.
Well, thank you. I mean, this sport has given me everything. I owe a lot to this sport. Of course, I love it still with all my heart. Have lots of passion for it, and I'm as dedicated as really anybody out there. Of course, I'm not one of the youngsters anymore, and things change a little bit, but the love and flame for this sport still burns in me. And you know, of course, at this stage of my career, I try to always play my best tennis at the Grand Slams and really deliver the best tennis on these most significant courts in the history of our sport. And what can I say? Now that we got to 80, let's get to 100.
Novak, thank you very much. Huge congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, your defending champion, Novak Djokovic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Confirmation he's not done just yet. If he'd like to get to 100, Annabel Croft was watching that match unfold, and the body language change from set to set with the defending champion in top seed as he waves to the crowd and leaves centre court. And firstly, Annabel, he'll be relieved to have come through that. He's smiling, he'll sign some autographs, but in the long run, it might not be the worst thing, as he hasn't had a grass build-up to have been tested in this first round.
No, I agree with you, Gigi. I think that was probably not such a big thing to spend a little bit more time out on the court. And as he said, his opponent played so well. He really had to fight and find a way to change the rhythm of the match. As he said, his serve picked up and then he found the variety, and it was a real tussle. And there was that dangerous moment in the third set where he was facing a break point and came up with an unbelievable second serve, which was a little bit of a roll of the dice because it was very close to the line. He had ended up coming up trumps because he got a winner. Well, it wasn't an outright winner, but Kwon missed the return of serve, I think I remember. But that was quite a dangerous moment. As he said, if it had not got that game or that point, it might have gone in a very different direction the whole match. And actually, I just saw him turn round to the player box and blow a big kiss. I think that was his son sitting up there, wasn't it? It was a lovely moment. Just seeing him do that. So yeah, it was a lovely interview actually, I thought, and really said a lot about how much he loves playing on this centre court, how much the game still means to him. And you know, even though he is one of the older ones at 35 now, he's still you know, the light burns very brightly inside him trying to win this championship.
And he's just made his way off court and